Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for our live reaction to the Champions League quarterfinal and semi-final draw, which essentially, potentially, gives us our road to the final one more time in Istanbul. I swear every year we sit here at the round of 16 quarterfinal draw, we think the final is going to be in Istanbul. It never turns out to be, but let's see about this year. We got a better starting point for this year to actually maybe host the Champions League final in Istanbul. But maybe it's already written in the stars for that sense, because we were supposed to play in Istanbul already before, but then obviously they had to move it. So now that it's actually in Istanbul, well, we have to just go again. It is what it is. Graham Potter's coming out with we're going to win the FA Champions League. Aspie saying everyone needs to worry more about us. Love it. Big fan. Don't know where this confidence come from, but I'm a big fan of it. We will talk about our potential opponents and everything. We will obviously also have to see how long UEFA take to actually get things going. I feel like it's different every time. So, as a streamer that's trying to live react to it, it's very difficult to plan ahead what I can talk about, because it depends on bloody how long they take to do anything. Any words of Patrick Vieira getting sacked? Well, unlucky. Not a fan of him, so unlucky, quite frankly. Don't really give a shit. And haven't we played them twice already? So I'm even less bothered, if I'm being perfectly honest. But there we go. Darmesh, I'll start with you. First of all, thank you for joining me this wonderful Friday lunchtime, morning time, whatever you want to call it, depending on what time zone you live in. You were talking to me about it. Aaron was talking to me about it. You're feeling nervous because, in a way, nothing depends on it, because frankly, before going into the second leg against Dortmund, we didn't even think we'd make it through that. So now we're in the quarterfinals, but somehow 3 wins is all it needs to create a little bit of hope, right?
Yeah, no, 100%, bro. Thanks for having me on again, bro. Big up the chat as well. Sub and like to this video, and also Laurenz's channel as well, man. But yeah, man. The draw, man. Like I said to you before, I feel a bit excited, but as well as nervous as well, because of the teams that are still in there. Like I think Ashraf in the comments just mentioned it: City, Madrid, Bayern. Those are obviously the main 3. Then obviously got Napoli as well. Those are the sort of 4 that ideally we'd want to avoid. But at the same time, I'm kind of with the mindset that we're going to have to come up against these teams eventually if we want to go and win the Champions League anyway. So F it. Let's just, as Graham Potter says, let's go win the Champions League, man. But obviously there's preferable ties that I'm sure Aaron and yourself and the chat probably want as well. And every sort of Chelsea fan, obviously we're looking at the two Milan clubs as well as Benfica as well. But yeah, I personally want Inter Milan. I don't know about you guys, but I personally want Inter Milan just purely because I just want the sort of revenge on Lukaku for what he did to us last season. I think we have to sort that out first before we get to all the Rui Costa stuff, and then potentially we get them in the semis. I think I think yesterday Aaron put something out in our group chat. I think about the best possible route for us. I think it was something like Benfica in the quarters, or having sort of both Milan clubs and Benfica and our sort of tie in a way, where because I believe they do the semi-final draw straight after or something like that. So potential winners. So that obviously that's the perfect and ideal scenario for us to sort of progress. But let's be real, I don't think that's going to happen. And if it does, it'll be a miracle, to be honest. But I think us as Chelsea fans, we shouldn't really fear sort of the draw, and we shouldn't fear sort of any other teams, because with Chelsea in the Champions League, number 3 is loaded, man. We should have had at least 3 or 4 Champions Leagues already. But it is what it is. And unlike Arsenal, we could say we're actually in Europe. So yeah.
Exactly. Sorry, I was a little bit quiet because I was trying to find this thing to bring up on screen.
No worries,
I had the picture, but then it just puts it in front of our faces. And if I do it like this, it separates it, which is a little bit nicer. Like you say, there is 2 very different, not sides to the draw, because there is no sides to it, but very different sets of teams in this draw. City, you don't want. We don't want the 3rd cup this season that we get knocked out by City from, because CB flipping H. You know what I mean? Who can be bothered for that? Real Madrid, yes, we beat them in COVID times, but that was without fans. We saw how difficult it is last year. We nearly turned it around, then we still bottled it. So, in an ideal world, we don't want to do that one either. Napoli, well, I think we can beat Napoli, but it's still difficult. And Bayern, I'm a little bit torn about, because, Munich is 2 hours from where I live. So, in a way, I would quite fancy that. But in a way, I obviously wouldn't, because I want to give us the best chance of making it through to the semis in the final. Because I get the sentiment that you were talking about, Darmesh, in terms of if you want to win the Champions League, you need to beat the best teams anyway by the time you make it to the final, which is obviously very true. But at the same time, the more times you play against difficult teams, the more chances you have of getting knocked out. And it just looks better. Even if you lose in the semis, just looks better in hindsight if you made it to the semis than if you got knocked out in the quarters by, say, Man City. So from that point of view, I would still prefer and hope for a favourable draw. But Aaron, I will finally get to you. What are your thoughts? You still feeling nervous ahead of tomorrow? Ahead of today? Ahead of now? Because the thing just started. It is starting again. We don't know how long the flipping thing is going to take, but it is starting. So that is something. But you're feeling nervous. You're feeling excited. What are the feelings inside you at the moment, bro?
Cheers, bro. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I was saying to you yesterday as well. Slightly nervous. Just really looking forward more than anything to seeing who we draw in the next round. I know it's not going to be Liverpool because those schmucks got knocked out. It's not going to be Arsenal because they didn't end this competition. Not going to be Tottenham. They got knocked out. So we're carrying London. We're doing our bit for England. We're carrying them through in Europe. But yeah, just alluding to what Dharmesh was actually saying, what I was saying yesterday in the group was kind of like, if you're able to somehow by luck like no other have Benfica, Inter and AC Milan on the same side of the draw with us, and then have the other four on the other side. So having like a Benfica, an Inter and AC in the quarters for the next round, and then the other two teams battling it out for a place in the semis, and we play them, that'd be the most ideal thing because they're the most winnable fixtures out of all of those. So that'd be ideal. But as you were saying, to beat the best, you gotta beat the best. So in a sense, it's whoever we get is what we get, and we're just gonna have to go out there and try and do the job. But at the beginning of the season, when we were doing the Champions League draw, the first one in the groups, in that exact stream, I said that Chelsea were winning number 3, and I said the final would be Chelsea and Bayern. So if we can avoid Bayern on our side, and we can both make it through, my prediction will be right. So that's what I'm looking forward to more than anything, seeing whether I can actually somehow have manifested this from all those months ago. So I'm excited.
Hey, bro, I would love it if you did. It's almost a year late because it would have been kind of, I don't know, written in the stars again if it was 10 years after 2012. But it's 2023. At the same time, maybe 10 years later, it would have been written in the stars that Bayern get revenge, and maybe 11 years later, we just do it again. Who knows? Who knows? We will have to wait and see. The Donny here is stood there talking with the Champions League trophy behind him. Arsenal fans don't know what that one looks like. They don't even fucking know what the Europa League trophy looks like, just from walking past after we smacked them in the final. So unlucky, boys. Quickly, before we talk about our potential opponents, is the Premier League having a bit of a stinker in Europe? Because, as you can see, in the Champions League, 2 of the 8 are from England, and Chelsea and Manchester City. There's 3 Italian teams, which is absolutely unheard of. The last time that's happened is 17 years ago, as crazy as that sounds. And even in the Europa League, Arsenal didn't make it to the knockouts. I'm not sure. Was there any team in the Conference League from England? I don't even know.
West Ham.
West Ham. Are they still in it?
Yeah, so Chelsea and City made it through in the Champions League for England. United made it through in the Europa League, and West Ham made it through in the Conference League.
Exactly. And when you think about the fact that Arsenal are top of the Premier League, and not just top by like a point or goal difference, like by a good minute now, right? And looking like they're going to win the Premier League, for them to get knocked down Europa League quarterfinals, round of 16, by Sporting, when they had the home leg to come after getting a draw away, well, that is shocking. So you know how we always talk about how the Premier League is so far superior and we have so much more money, and the last few years in Europe also did make it look like that. There was a number of all-English finals left, right, centre. Is this just a one-off, do you think? Or is the Premier League maybe not quite as dominant as we maybe tell ourselves or think, Aaron? Let me go with you first.
I think it's quite difficult to say because when you look at it across the top 5 leagues, especially, everyone says, "Oh, England is a lot more dominant. We're bringing the most TV revenue. The clubs have the most money to spend. This, that, and the other." So, in that respect, you would assume that England would have a lot more representation. But I think when you look in the Champions League and you see the kind of season that Liverpool are having, it's an anomaly for them for a long while now because they've been poor this season, but other seasons gone by, they've been very, very good. So they're having a poor season themselves, and they drew up against Real Madrid, who are very difficult. And once they lost that first leg in the manner that they did, it was kind of written in the stars that they were going out. So in that respect, you can understand why Liverpool might not be in and around the conversation. Spurs is the history of the Tottenham. You sort of know what you're getting. So that's not really a.
This
That's
is
not
what
really a
happens when
surprise
Spurs
in
make
itself.
top four. You know, you can't...
Yeah, other than the year they made the final, they don't really do particularly well in Europe. You look in the Europa League, United, you sort of expected them to go through. Arsenal, it was a bit of a shock, but their fans will say, "Oh, blessing in disguise. It means we've got to focus on the league." Blah blah blah. But the position they're in the league, it might actually benefit them. So it's not the be all and end all for them. I don't think this season. If it was like a season where they were doing how they normally do, where they're like in and around the top four, and they lost the Europa League, then fair enough. It seems a lot worse. And West Ham, they're doing poor in the league. They're in a relegation battle, but they went through to the next round. But the Conference League, no one particularly cares about. So in the sense, you can say with Liverpool, it's a bit of an anomaly, and Arsenal as well. But I think next season you'll see a very different side to these European competitions from English clubs, because I think once they have another
we'll have
window,
to see who qualifies, because it could be flipping Fulham.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You've got a very
you know what I mean?
a real possibility that there's some big clubs that aren't even in the European competition. So it all depends on sort of who's going to be in and around. But I think even with these smaller Premier League clubs, if they were to make it into Europe, you could see some sort of surprises, because when you finally get that taste of European football, you're going to give it your all. And these clubs, with the way that they're playing, you could bet on them to sort of have a decent run in these competitions. So I think next season it'll be a very different picture.
It may well be. It may well be. Like Josh says here, we're mid-table and we're somehow third in the UEFA rankings. We are absolutely massive. We are, to be fair. And I have no idea who's ahead of us. Obviously, Real Madrid. Who's the other one that's ahead of us? Does anyone know?
Is it Bayern?
Manchester City?
Oh, maybe City. Yeah, actually, yeah. Maybe.
I generally don't know. Josh, maybe you know. I just know we're third ahead of Liverpool, which is quite fun. Like I say, considering we're mid-table. So I guess it's that one. Now, I think Aaron makes some fair points, especially in terms of, excuse me, in terms of Liverpool, that they, just had a tough draw, and that happens. You know, and then obviously if they had a bit of an easier draw, say one of the Milan teams, even with Liverpool being in poor form, I would still have expected them to go through, and then it would be 3 English teams again. So I guess that's a fair point. But still, I feel like in comparison to how dominant the English teams were, because yes, okay, we're also not having a good season, but Dortmund aren't exactly the most difficult opponent of all time. And, you know, we didn't find it particularly easy to go through. Like, it was 2-1 on aggregate. And, you know, if they get one late goal in that second leg, we're into extra time already, and God knows what happens then. So it's not like we absolutely breezed through. It's not like we're Man City beating Leipzig 7-0 in the second leg. Flipping Haaland. I've never seen a player, genuinely, I've never seen a player that just attracts goals like a magnet. The guy doesn't even have to do anything. The ball just falls to him, and he has to tap it. But somehow that's a quality and ability in itself, isn't it? Damesh, quickly, if you want to talk about if the Premier League is kind of underperformed in Europe this season, because Hamid Altintop has turned up and is about to get into touching these balls.
Interesting choice of words there, Laurenz. But yeah, Aaron pretty much summed it all up, to be honest, in terms of like the quality of teams this season. And like we've sort of seen with like, say, Chelsea, not Chelsea, sorry, like sort of like Arsenal and United being sort of like the two sort of dominant teams in the league, apart from Manchester City. Obviously, they've like whatever we think of them, they've had a good season in the league, to be honest, and they are where they are because they're performing well. But if you look at, say, like teams like us and Liverpool, for example, we're sort of underperforming this season, even with sort of Tottenham as well. You could argue as well, going out of like 2 cup competitions in a week. Like as Aaron said, there's history of the Tottenham in it. So like, who's gonna realistically trust them to get through to sort of the next round? And I think it's a matter of the luck of the draw as well. Like Aaron said, with Liverpool drawing Madrid, and like nobody wants to face Madrid in the Champions League, because that's just like you're almost guaranteed to be knocked out because of their heritage and the way they perform in the Champions League. And it's like I think it just proves that sort of your form in the Premier League doesn't really matter in a sense, because if you look at Real Madrid, for example, they're 10 points off. I think Barcelona or something, aren't they? Or they're quite a few points off Barcelona in the league.
I think it might be 8 or something, but yeah.
And then look at us as well in the league, and look at, say, Milan as well. I think Milan are like 4th or 5th in Serie A, I believe, and like Inter as well. So I think it just proves that these sort of teams are prepping more for Europe, and realistically, they've sort of given up on the league in a way. The exceptions of obviously Napoli, City, and Bayern.
Yeah. I would also say that a few of these teams got quite lucky in terms of the draw, because Inter played Porto, definitely. And Porto were the team that topped their group, but their group was just, they topped the group with Bruges and Atletico Madrid and Leverkusen. So Inter coming second in theirs, all of a sudden you get Porto, where you're like, well, yeah, sure, Porto have made the quarterfinals a fair few times over the last few years, but you know, you would still expect, like, Porto still aren't the most difficult opponent to be drawn against if you're one of the better teams. And, well, you guys touched on Spurs already. Let's talk through these opponents. I guess we might as well talk through it as they are showed on screen. Let's start with Bayern. What would we say were we to be drawn against Bayern in the quarterfinals? Obviously, to beat PSG in the round of 16 without conceding a goal. Was it 1-0 in the first leg, 2-0 in the second leg? I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is Bayern are having an absolutely dreadful season, defensively speaking, in the Bundesliga. Now, they're still top, but in comparison to how many points they usually have by this point in the season, they're actually having a bad season. And AMS Hub, it kind of has started. We're just bringing some more people in, but it looks like we're about to start very, very soon. Don't worry, guys. We will inform you when it actually starts. We will, of course, not, unfortunately, be showing the actual draw. We can't, copyright reasons. UEFA will be right on our cases. So we can't be doing that. But, have the UEFA thing open on one side. You don't want to hear that waffle anyway. Put that on your phone. Have this here. You get the live reaction. Have a good time. Subscribe if you haven't already. But if we get Bayern, how did they even, they've only conceded 2 goals in the Champions League campaign so far. And that was against Victoria Pilsen for some reason. Playing Barcelona, playing PSG, playing, who else was the other big team that they had in the group? They had another one. Wasn't it Inter maybe?
Yeah, it was Inter.
Yeah.
Well, was it Inter? There you go. They haven't conceded a single goal against any of these lot other than Victoria Pilsen, weirdly at home, I think. Or was it away? I can't remember. Maybe it was away. But they won 4-2 anyway. But then in the Bundesliga, they're having a really bad season defensively. So what do we make of them? Because watching them against PSG, they were really good. But then every time I see PSG, when it comes to any more difficult rounds in Europe, they're always a bit shit. It doesn't really matter who's the manager. Even when it was Thomas Tuchel, let's be honest, yes, they made it through to that final in 2020, but they weren't dominant in any of the rounds. They got nearly knocked out in that first KO round of that little Champions League tournament that we had in COVID times. So, whenever it is, they kind of just end up parking the bus and try counter-attacking with Mbappe, and then that means Mbappe is never really involved. That means Messi had to try to do everything on his own against Bayern, and 35-year-old Messi is good, but he can't do everything against Bayern. So, but does that make Bayern really good? Or does that make PSG not as good as you'd think from having the names that they have? I'll start with you, Damesh. I'm not sure if we have enough time to get through these, so maybe try to keep yourself a little bit shorter. But in general, is Bayern Munich one of those draws where you're flip sake, or would you still give us a chance?
For me, it's sort of like a tier system where obviously the 3 that we want, so Inter, AC, and Benfica are the bottom tier where we sort of want those teams. And then Napoli, Madrid, and City are sort of that top tier where we don't want. And I think Bayern are in that middle tier for me. Yeah. You wouldn't mind them, but obviously you'd want a better draw. So I think it's one of them, and I think they definitely could be got at in the Champions League. I know our record against them previously hasn't been that great. Obviously we beat them in the final, but I think that under Lampard's season they completely dominated us, and fair play to them, they were good that season. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't mind them, but at the same time we could ask for a better draw, to be honest. But yeah, see how it goes against Bayern if we do end up drawing them.
There you go. I couldn't agree more. It's a weird one. Last time when we were doing this, I had this part of the UEFA website up that as the draw happened, updated it, so you could we could have it up on screen, all the fixtures. I'm not sure if they're doing this on this one, so I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to show you guys on screen. But we'll see. I mean, it looks like they're about to get into it. But Aaron, Bayern, would you give us a chance at all?
Yeah, I'll give us a chance against absolutely everybody, but they're one of the teams I'd want to avoid. I said at the beginning of the season, I think they'll end up getting to the final. Just Bayern are a team where they're not doing as well as they normally would, but they still have quality in abundance. They've got grit. They know how to get through these sort of rounds into the latter stage of these competitions. And when you've got that sort of experience, it's not something you want to come up against, if I'm being honest. The other teams that we mentioned before are a lot more favourable, but they're still a very big team. But I think the draw's starting now, so I'm going to shut up.
There you go. I mean, I'm not sure if your thing is slightly ahead of mine, but
I will just refrain from reacting.
It looks like they're about to get
starting.
Started. All right, let's get going then. We will talk about it as things happen and see who gets drawn. The first, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be ahead of me or if I'm going to be ahead of you. If I'm ahead of you, I do apologize.
I think we're ahead.
Yeah, we're ahead. I think.
It seems like you're ahead. I tried to update it, but I'm not going to update it again now because then it will show me an ad. I have just been shown the name, but the UEFA website stream is so bad that the quality was too low to even actually see what it said. So that's brilliant.
Do you want one of us to talk through it, or
no? It's okay.
Sure. Okay.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
I still didn't even see the first team.
End the stream, bro.
There you go. Real Madrid. Real Madrid.
Oh.
I did kind of in my head decide that I wasn't going to go to the quarterfinal unless it's Munich, just because it's so conveniently close. But I've never been Madrid. So now I'm tempted again. But, we'll need to think about that. But hey, Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. We do it again. Can we do it again? Finally, they've figured out how to do HD. All right. Don't care anymore now, do I? Damesh? Shocked? Disappointed? Fighting spirit? Well, what's coming through?
Shocked and disappointed. I didn't expect us to sort of be
the
drawn
first
out so
team.
quickly.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Oh,
of course, Inter Milan get Benfica. Fuck off.
No, but isn't that a good thing? Because aren't they on our side now?
No, they
I
haven't
think
done
they
the
do the
draw
draw
for the sides
separately
yet.
for that. Yeah,
But it could be on our side.
could be. Yeah, could be. But
So,
obviously, I think-
a super easy quarters is not bad.
Yeah, but besides the point, we could have gotten easier quarters rather than a very hard one.
But it's what it is. That's already in the mud now.
But do you know what it is,
Because
lads,
of what we got.
do you know what it is though?
Right.
Like with this draw thing, man.
But because
just,
we were drawn
just a
second,
heads up,
doesn't that mean we have the second game at home?
Yeah.
Yep, we
Yeah.
do.
So we're
So
away
that's
first,
a good
yeah.
thing.
Manchester City have just come out, by the way, so they're about to get drawn for their opponent.
They'll get Milan. Watch one of the Milan
Give them
teams.
Yeah,
Bayern.
guaranteed.
Please give them
Guaranteed it's AC
Bayern.
Milan.
Come on, give them
AC
Bayern. One
Milan.
of them be knocked out. One of them be knocked out.
Bayern Munich.
Ooh. Interesting.
Is it Bayern? There you
Yeah.
Yeah,
go.
Bayern. Yeah.
I
Pep
say,
Guardiola.
no, it's another one. It's another one where it's like, if we somehow do pull it off against Madrid, one of the big ones is already knocked out. We're gonna win number 3, boys. Come on.
So that means it's AC Milan and Napoli?
Could be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Benfica be drawn out.
AC Milan and Napoli.
So let me get just the other one.
That's
up
just a Serie A game. Who gives a shit?
Are doing this. There you go. As you can see it up on
there you
screen
go, yeah.
now. These
That's
are the
better.
fixtures so far. Real Madrid versus Chelsea, Inter Milan versus Benfica, and Man City versus Bayern. Leaving, obviously, Milan against, who's the last one?
Napoli.
Napoli, of course, yeah. Oh, there's a big one as well within Italy. Big one. Guaranteeing one Italian team in the semi-finals, which, again, how long has it been since we've seen that? When was the Juve last make it that far? I don't know. But I guess now we get to the semi-final draw, and now we just have to essentially hope that we get the winner of this one. I mean, the other one will be okay, like the other Italian one. But, wait, what's happening here?
As long as it's not the City and Bayern one.
Why did they take away the Inter thing here?
No.
It was here a second ago.
Oh, no, I had no
they're
idea.
doing
I think they're doing the draw for the
draw
semis now.
Yeah. No, they're doing just the semis now. But
Let's hope we get the Milan. Actually, no, the Inter Benfica.
Bro, as long as it's not that third one. As long as it's not number 3.
Oh yeah, that'd be
how are
the
they going to
worst,
do it?
man.
Do they just do semi-final 1, semi-final 2, semi-final 3 type thing?
Winner of
quarterfinal
quarterfinal
four.
blah. So the winner of the 4th quarterfinal between Milan and Napoli
Yeah.
is playing against
Let's see.
I would accept that one. Yes, Napoli's
number 1.
difficult, but I would
Well,
accept that.
if it's not number 1 or 3, then we're fucked.
Yeah. Oh my days,
If
that
it's
would be the
2, we are
worst
screwed.
semi-final in history if it
Please
is
don't be
2.
two.
Is it 2?
Oh,
fuck
you're
off.
joking.
Fuck off.
You're joking.
Oh, we're muddied. We are absolutely
damn.
muddied.
Oh,
Oh my days.
You know what? This is written in the stars for Napoli to reach the final. Like, I think Napoli are almost a shoe into the final.
Fuck off.
Why did you have to do us like that? Every draw, I mean, okay, the Champions League draw against Dortmund was okay. The group was
God,
acceptable.
that was
But our cup draws are difficult every fucking time this season. What is it? This season it's just not our luck, is it? My
I'll be
God.
back 1 second.
God. Ay.
Oh man.
But how dead is that as well? Like Napoli or Milan against Benfica or
Oh,
Inter?
bro,
What
Napoli are shoe into the final, man. Look, I think you can always just guarantee with that draw. I think they're almost a guarantee into the final.
Yeah, but they might bottle it because they've never been this far, so they might like collapse under the pressure. So you never know
Yeah,
from that
possibly,
perspective.
man. But man, that's the worst possible draw.
Oh, that is tough. That is so tough.
Do you know
I
what,
don't
boys?
know
Let's have
what
some
I
hope.
would
We're
say.
Chelsea Football Club, man. Let's have some hope. Like, I know this might sound very, I don't know, a bit delusional, a bit optimistic at the same time. But look at, like, I know obviously Liverpool lost against Madrid the other day, but Madrid won. I thought Madrid won as convincing as they were. And I think we could
they're not
definitely
that
beat them.
convincing. Like,
I think we could
all
definitely
you
beat
need to
them.
be able to do
Like,
is stop them countering. So play Reece James and you're fine, really.
if he's fit, like, yeah.
Oh, we
Okay,
agree
Kante
that
doesn't
this
have a
is
stinker like in the
genuinely the
first leg
worst
last
case
year,
scenario.
Yeah, because even just getting it City in the semis, for example, like we don't want to face them over 2 legs. That's with any team, man. Like any of the teams that we sort of come up against, it's just the worst possible outcome for us. Yeah,
it is kind of the worst possible. It really is. My God, that is a little bit of a downer, that one, isn't it? But what can you say? I mean, hey, if we do somehow pull it off, it's the toughest Champions League run we've had. Big up Graham Potter. Do you know what I mean? My God. Now, that's the crazy thing. Like, I'm not as much against Graham Potter as some other fans are. But when I think about playing Real Madrid and our manager is Graham Potter, who's, biggest experience in any of these competitions is with us in the last round against Dortmund. I'm like, Real Madrid is a whole nother different ball game to Dortmund. So I hope he can step up and he, along with the team, can step up. But am I 1,000,000% confident of it? Not really. But Eden Hazard isn't particularly well liked at Madrid. So maybe he can dish out some cheeky injuries in training or something.
Rudiger as well is going to be playing against us, man. Oh, that's...
Yeah. But surely our players should be able to handle Rudiger's shit out of me. No? Surely.
You'd think, but...
surely Havertz knows him well enough that he can handle it.
You can't even stick up to Yerry Mina, let alone thingy Rudiger, man. You see how much Yerry Mina
winds
this
him stick up to him, he floored him, just got, given a free kick against him. But, did floor him, to be fair to him. But what do we think now then? Do we give ourselves any chance of beating Real Madrid? I say any chance. I still assume we're going to play the first leg in Madrid. Let's quickly touch on that for a second. We have about half the team on potential suspensions for the second leg. I can't remember all of them, but there's a lot of players in there that if they get a booking in the first leg, they will miss the second leg. So that's why some people were talking about how it's arguably would be better if we have the first leg at home. Purely in the home leg, we're going to be more likely to have the better results. So therefore, have the best team possible in the home game, get a win, and then in the away leg, just park the bus, I guess. But I don't know. Do you give us a chance, Aaron? Do you see a way in which we can beat them? Or realistically?
I refuse. I'm so shameless. I refuse to change my stance. Number 3 is coming. I refuse to change my stance. Until we are fully out of it, I'm still saying number 3 is coming.
Yeah. The problem I have is I can see a chance now. Do I see it as likely? No. But
the thing you have to remember, domestically, when we are shit, what happens?
Oh, I don't know, Rob.
We don't have to focus on the domestics because we know we're not getting European football. So we chuck everything into the Champions League, absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I say, I don't think it's likely necessarily, but I do give us a chance against Madrid. The problem is that you follow up Madrid with the winner of City Bayern, and that's what makes it difficult. In a way, not that it's more or less difficult. That doesn't make the quarterfinal more or less difficult, but in terms of you hope you're like the fighting spirit in terms of let's make the final again. Let's prove people wrong in terms of the squad. Will they even get to that thought in the quarterfinals when they know who's waiting for us in the semifinals? I guess that's the question. But Damesh, do you think we got? Do you think there's a chance we beat Madrid?
There's always a chance, man. Like I said before, I thought Madrid, on obviously they beat Liverpool, but I didn't think they were completely convincing against Liverpool, given how bad Liverpool have been in the league, in sort of the league this season, and even with respect to Champions League as well. But yeah, we've definitely beaten Real Madrid before, and with Chelsea in Europe, man, I back us to beat anyone. But obviously, like I said before, it's obviously preferable if we had the easier sort of draw to get to the final, like Napoli. Imagine us, it's just so frustrating that if you just look at the draw itself, it's so close. It could have been us instead of Napoli, or it could have been either other team. So it's actually possible to have that easy run to the final, but it just had to be Napoli in it. But yeah, but I think it's key as well that we sort of manage our players as well and keep our sort of best players sort of fit for the game as well, because I think my I don't know about you boys, but my sort of full focus is on the Champions League now. So whether that's fielding like a less sort of stronger team in the league, just to advocate for the Champions League, I wouldn't mind that in a way, because we basically got the toughest draw, we've got the hardest draw, and we're coming up against the best team in Europe or even in the world, to be honest. So yeah, why not, man? Why not? Let's all calm down a bit and let's back our team, man. Let's back our team.
I think the one thing you have to remember is the last time we played Madrid at the Bernabeu in the first leg of a Champions League knockout match, we went on to win the whole competition. So just putting that one out there.
That is, we didn't play at the Bernabeu that season.
I think it was their training ground, wasn't it, or something? Yeah. I can't remember.
Listen, call it what you will. We'll just say then the last time we were away to Madrid, we in the first leg we won. So
technically in the second leg we won. Obviously got knocked out, but we still won the game, didn't we?
Yeah,
3-1, 3-2.
I still don't know what to think about that game, because we were 3-0 up and still managed to only win 3-2. And
Marcos Alonso got robbed off a goal, man.
Like I think sometimes people make it out as this bigger achievement than it was. To me, it was an absolute bottle job in the last 10 minutes. Like, how can you be 3-0
realistically? Yeah, it was.
And bottle it that hard. Like, how did we bottle it?
Rudiger had a couple of howlers for their goals as well in that game.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
But I've never seen a team go to Madrid and play that way, the way we did.
It's a very good point. And to be honest, do I trust us to do this again? Absolutely no chance. But doesn't mean we can't win, I suppose. Doesn't mean we can't win. Before we get back to Real Madrid, Chelsea, and to looking at the Chelsea side of things, and I'm hoping Pice will join us very soon as well. Let's talk about the other three fixtures and who we expect to go through in each of those. Benfica, Inter. And I'll start with you, Aaron. Do you see a chance that Benfica can pull off a little bit of a surprise? And I can't remember, probably would be the first Portuguese team in the semi-final since Porto in 2004, I would assume. But I can't remember. Maybe there's been one since. But I personally would probably expect Inter to go through. Even Inter aren't that good either, are they? Like, I mean, Inter barely, and in the last few minutes of that game, Inter need a lot of luck to not take this game against Porto to extra time. So, are they guaranteed to beat Benfica? I wouldn't say so.
I don't think Inter go through.
Oh yeah,
that's just my honest opinion. I think Inter just they don't look like the Inter of the past. I think this season they've been poor. When I watch them in Europe, I don't see anything special. They've got a fat striker up front wearing number 90 who can't really do anything to save his life. They don't even want to keep him. So they've not got much really going for them at the moment. So when you look at Benfica, they look convincing when they play. They're a bit more of an underdog, so they've got less pressure on them. And I think it'll be a close game, but I reckon Benfica nick it.
There you go, fair play. I just looked at the league standings in Portugal, and Benfica are top of the league by 8 points ahead of Porto, and Sporting only fourth. And, Arsenal still can't beat them. But difficult one. I will bring Pice in a second. I will talk to him in a second. I will first ask you, Dharmesh. Benfica or Inter, who you got? Who do you reckon gets that one?
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. I think Benfica go through. I think a lot of sort of teams are kind of writing them off and sort of underestimating them. They're doing well in the league. Obviously, they're doing quite well without Enzo as well. They've still got quality players. They've got that Portugal striker, I forgot his name, the one that bagged the hat-trick.
Gonzalo Ramos.
Him, yeah, they've got him as well. They've got a couple of other good players as well. But yeah, man, it's just frustrating to see that they're on that side of the draw, not us. It's a bit frustrating, but yeah, I definitely think Benfica will go through, and then out of Milan, it's got to be Napoli. And then, like I said, I think Napoli are basically a foot in the final, if I'm being honest. On paper, that is, yeah.
Fair play. Let's take a little bit of a step back and talk to Pice. Pice, thank you for joining us. We're a bit muddled. That couldn't have really gone much worse, could it? I guess we could have had City in the quarters, which I would have given us even less of a chance against than against Madrid. But even if we do beat Madrid, we got City or Bayern in the semis anyway. So, yeah, could have gone better that one, couldn't it, Pice?
It's so fixed, man, honestly. It's so fixed. Like, all the three Italian teams on one side of the draw is so fixed. But, yeah, I mean, Real Madrid is what it is. I knew we was going to get a big team. Let's be honest, we were never going to get, one of the easier teams. If there even is one, to be fair, because everyone left is pretty strong. But, we was never going to get an Inter or a Milan, in my opinion. So Real Madrid is what it is. But, if we win that, having to play City or Bayern is just, yeah. I mean, if we win it, if we somehow even get to the final, no one can say we didn't deserve it. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that is very, very true. It's one hell of a tough draw. I mean, do you give us a chance against Madrid? Obviously, you're probably going to say we have a chance against anybody, and that is true. I'm not quite sure about fixed because, UEFA hate Italy. So, I'm not sure they're going to do them any favors on purpose, if I'm being honest. But, I mean, then again, isn't Seferin Italian? I don't know where he's from, actually. I don't know. So, regardless of that, do you give us a chance at all against Madrid? First leg away. We got a lot of players that could miss the second leg if they get booked. So that's one of the problems.
Yeah, I think it depends on that first leg. I think if we go there, if we don't concede too many, I think we can definitely beat them at Stamford Bridge with our atmosphere. I mean, that game is going to be, if we are still in the tie, that game is going to be, like, if you thought Dortmund atmosphere was good, oh my God, like this could be double the levels. And I think what we saw against Dortmund, I think we could pull something special off absolutely against them at home. But, it all depends on that first leg. I mean, I know they were, 5-2 up already, but, Liverpool didn't concede, they conceded one the other day. So I think at the Bernabeu, they're not fully rebuilt the stadium either. So it's not like optimum atmosphere. I think we can get something. I do think we can beat Real Madrid or at least get a draw in the first leg. And then the second leg, I think, as long as we don't do what we did, under Tuchel, where we just made so many mistakes, we'll. I don't know. It sounds crazy to say I think we're going to beat Real Madrid over 2 legs, but I honestly think we've got a really big chance. We like playing them, as you've seen by the record. So. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be nice to boo Courtois again. Rudiger coming back. Maybe we can hang that quote on the wall in the dressing room, how everything's much bigger there. Although I'm sure some of our own players would probably agree with that. So, yeah, going to be nice to boo Courtois again. And hopefully, we actually get, I know Hazard won't play, but hopefully, we can actually get some bit more of a moment with a crowd this time, because last time it was in lockdown. I'd absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Boys, you know what? Like, I'm just looking. Sorry, Laurenz. I'm just looking at the fixture list now in April, man. It's looking peak because I think we've got Wolves just before we play Madrid, and then obviously they're on a bit of a run. Then we've got obviously Madrid, whether that's I think the 11th or 12th of April. I think that's when it is, and then obviously we've got Brighton straight after that on the weekend. Then I think we've got Manchester United. I think the week after. Then I think we've got the Madrid second leg in between there as well. So and then we got Brentford and Arsenal. So,
I mean,
April,
like you
man,
say, though,
oh my days.
the league doesn't really matter anymore, does it? So,
I
guess we can't
just say, man, like, just look at the April fixture list, man. Like, Wolves away, Brighton at home, United away, Brentford at home, Arsenal away, man, and then fit in both Madrid games in there as well, man. It's it'll be challenging, but at least we could utilize the 33-man squad that we've got. So, yeah.
It won't be easy for sure. That is for damn sure. Carvish, appreciate the super sticker. Yeah, appreciate it. What else can I say? I mean, it's the first leg. Just go to Madrid and park the flipping bus. Park the bus, take as good of a result as you can to the bridge, and go from there. Because the problem that you have, I mean, we experienced it in a way last season. Obviously, we were 3-0 up, but Madrid can do anything when you give them even a split second of space. In the Champions League, they're just absolute mentality monsters. So not having to do the Bernabeu in the second leg when they can bring out the whole mentality monster thing can only be an advantage, in my opinion. But hey, it's going to be difficult regardless. Pies, before I take it back to Aaron and stuff, we already talked about Benfica Inter. Who do you see winning that one? I mean, I saw someone in the chat saying Napoli playing flipping Conference League with their opponents. I'm not quite as sure as seemingly Aaron and Dalmesha about Benfica beating Inter. Let's not forget, Benfica only had Bruges in the round of 16. Bruges, managed by Scott Parker. Let's get ahead of ourselves. Again, this doesn't mean that Benfica aren't good, but the round of 16 isn't necessarily the biggest sign for how good they are or not, I suppose. But, Pice, do you see Benfica or Inter going through on that one?
Again, I think first leg massive. because Inter are home second leg, so I think Inter could do something. But I think Benfica will probably win like 3-1 or something at home, which so I think Benfica will go through. They've been really good this season.
I mean, they absolutely have. I mean, Lukaku could certainly make himself be more interesting to Inter Milan if he helps them get through. That's for sure. But let's get to Man City Bayern then. Aaron, I'll start with you. To me, very difficult to call because obviously you see what City did to Leipzig, and then you see how fairly close Leipzig are to Bayern in the Bundesliga table, and you're like, well, City will absolutely smack them. But we all know that they won't smack them. So will they still beat them, or do you give Bayern a chance? Because Man City, a little bit like PSG, they do have a tendency to bottle it in Europe. And every time they really come up against any of the real big teams, they've bottled it. But now, obviously, they have Haaland, which, yes, in terms of the Premier League and their ultimate maximum play style, maybe makes them a teeny tiny bit worse, as crazy as that sounds. But in terms of being clutch, hey, it's a big help having Erling Haaland over, well, whoever else they used to have up front when they were playing false nines and all sorts of things. So could that be enough of a game changer for them to beat Bayern, or do you see Bayern going through? Bayern being at home in the second leg is a fairly big advantage as well, I would say. So what do you reckon there, Aaron?
I think it's so hard to call because Bayern, I think the one area where I look at Bayern and I'm not so convinced is defensively. Their defense doesn't look particularly that strong, and when you've got players like Haaland, Mahrez, Grealish, Foden, Alvarez, De Bruyne, all these kind of players for City who can unlock a game and give you that extra edge, it is very difficult to look past City. But you have to look at their European heritage as well, and they don't do particularly well in these competitions. So that's the one grey area on Pep's CV, and I think this year they're going to absolutely gun for that because they've won 4 out of the last 5 leagues, but the one trophy that's eluded them the whole time he's been there is the Champions League. So I think they're really going to go for it, especially with Haaland. That's like what they would consider to be like the missing piece of their puzzle since they lost Aguero. So it's a really hard one to call, but I think City just about edge Bayern.
First, Damesh, I think you might have already touched on it a second ago, but just as we're now talking about it again, just to remind everyone, who do you think wins that one?
Oh, yeah, just sort of what just Aaron touched upon. I think this game's probably bigger for City than it is for Bayern, just because of sort of that Pep Guardiola's sort of like reign at Man City without a Champions League and stuff. I think them going for the FA Cup and obviously the Premier League as well is going to play a part in things as well for them in terms of the run-in in April as well for them. So, do you know what? I've got a feeling Bayern might edge this. I've got a cheeky feeling they might do City. I think. Maybe not the Etihad, but I think at the Allianz, I think they can definitely get a result out of Bayern. I think out of City, sorry, and I think a lot of people underestimating Bayern. I think they're quietly going about their business. Like I said, like Aaron said as well, defensively they're not convincing, but it's just a matter of what sort of Man City turns up on the day. Like if it's a City that turn up against Leipzig, I think they'll just about edge it. But with the City that we've seen this season, even though they haven't been at the races, I still think that. Yeah, it's a tough one, really tough one. I think apart from our draw, I think this one's probably the next toughest one to call in a way. Like it's very 50-50 this one. Just looking at it. But yeah, I've got a feeling Bayern just edge it, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if City go through, to be honest. Yeah.
Fair. Pice, last one on this one. City or Bayern, who you got going through on that one?
I've got Bayern for this one. I think they'll beat them second leg, especially. I think they'll get a result at the Etihad as well. Yeah, I've got Bayern. I know Man City's attack is really good, but so is Bayern's. And they actually defended
but
really.
Is it? Because they got Flip and Choupo-Moting up top, man.
Yeah, I think people take the piss out of him, but he scores a lot of goals. So
he scores
a lot of
goals in the
well,
Bundesliga. Timo Werner does that, yeah. I mean.
He scored quite a few in the Champions League as well, bro. He scored a few for PSG. He scored a few for. There's a reason why he's up front.
He's not awful, is he? But he's not Haaland.
No, but I think Bayern over 2 legs win this one. That's my prediction. I think being at home second leg is massive for Bayern. I can see City bottling it at the Allianz.
First, I mean, you boys have all gone for Bayern. I see City going through. Like I say, City are fairly good defensively. Yes,
Bro,
like
Ederson
RB
is going to
says,
cost them
Choupo-Moting
another
is a clutch
Champions League.
goal scorer. That is true. And they've got Sadio Mane as well, but Sadio Mane hasn't really properly worked yet for them.
Musiala.
Yeah,
City have
Musiala, but he
Ederson, he's
can't,
terrible.
finish his dinner to save his life. Do you know what I mean? I just think with the way Bayern defend, with their high line, with how often they get counterattacked, you do that against Haaland, you're going to suffer. And I honestly don't see, unless they get such a good result at the Etihad, that they can almost park it at home, which Bayern don't want to do anyway, but at least be more conservative at home. Then I don't see them, like if they have anything to chase, if they need a goal in Munich, I just don't think that will go well for them. I don't know why. At the Etihad, I don't really know, because the first legs can always be a little bit of a stalemate, because neither team wants to risk too much, still keeping things alive for the second leg. But yeah, I reckon City. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. The last one, all Italian quarterfinal. The fact that there's a guaranteed Italian team in the semi-final and a good chance of its Italian team in the final is actually mental. Genuinely mental when you think about it. But Milan-Napoli. Napoli are 15 points clear in the top of the table in Italy. Milan are also not even second. So let me just quickly check how far Milan are off Napoli. So Napoli are currently on 68 points, actually 18 points clear, not just 15. On 68 points, and Milan sit on 48 points. So they are a whole 20 points clear. So unless something crazy happens and the whole Champions League experience somehow makes a difference, even though, I mean, the Champions League experience, other than to Giroud, applies to no one in the Milan squad. So I'm not really sure how much it's going to help them, other than, Paolo Maldini, of course, one of the executives. Because, I mean, are they a different animal in Europe, Varna? Because, I mean, we beat them and we were awful, so far this season. And we beat them quite comfortably on both occasions. So, yeah, I don't know about that one. I fully expect Napoli to go through, and I would be surprised if it's anything different. Now, it's a knockout tie. Anything can happen, so you can never be sure. But surely Napoli, unless they get an injury to Kvaradona or Osimhen, I do not see how they do not win, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, Milan, since the turn of the year, have been absolutely dreadful. I mean, they can barely win a game since the new year. I mean, they had 4 in a row when they beat Torino, Spurs, Monza, and Atalanta. But around that, they've barely won a game since the new year. They've won those 4 plus one other one in the new year. Like, everything else is so many draws and losses. It's crazy. So, yeah, I fully have to back Napoli on that one. But, Bice, do you reckon Napoli as well? Or do you somehow think Milan can pull this off?
Nah, Napoli will beat them quite comfortably, in my opinion. Milan have been pretty average every time I've watched them play. I think Napoli, it's a good matchup actually, because you see, obviously they play each other in the league, so they'll know each other very well. But no, I've got Napoli. I think Napoli in the final for me.
I do. Napoli in the final, you're taking it that far. All right, well, we'll get to our semi-final picks in a minute. Aaron, Napoli, Milan. Picking Napoli as well, like Price did?
Yeah, pretty much the exact same. Picking Napoli in that tie. I think they make it to the final as well, but we'll get to that shortly. But I just think the way Napoli are playing this season, they are a different animal. That combination of Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen is absolutely insane, and I think they're just a joy to watch play football. Honestly, it's mad. The transition they've had with Spalletti is crazy this season. I don't know, it's just clicked in for them, and Kvaratskhelia has to be the signing of the season, because fucking up with 10 million euros, that is he's a player and a half. But I expect Napoli to comfortably go through over 2 legs.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you touch on Spalletti there. How's that happened? I swear he was Milan manager not that long ago, and I swear Milan were absolutely dreadful. Now, do they have as good of a squad? Did they have a Kvaradona? Did they have an Osimhen? Did they have the rest of their team on basis of names isn't actually that impressive, but they play really well, and they have done all season. I guess Spalletti didn't have those players at Milan, but I can't remember what exact era it was that he was there for and which players he had. But I just feel like he didn't really seem like a particularly amazing manager at the time. So I don't know how this has happened now.
Spalletti was there from 2017 to 2019, and before that he had a season at Roma.
Yeah, I don't remember him at Roma, if I'm honest, but at Milan, yeah. But who knows? Hey, fair play to him. Fair play to him. One of these small Italian men Italian men just are small. Don't know why I was talking about that, but hey, here we are.
You call him small. He's 5'11", so he's not that small.
Is he really 5'11"?
He's 5'11". He's 1.8 meters.
See, I think that's a lie and a half. I think someone chopped his legs off after he last got measured. Look at him. Like, unless every coat he buys it in double XL. Like, how can that be possible? But anyway, very wrong. Maybe I'm just imagining Spalletti as a B-Tech Gattuso, and Gattuso is obviously small. I'm losing track of mine now. I'm pretty sure, Damesh, I haven't asked you yet, but you back in Napoli to beat Milan, or do you see a potential upset, even if some people would probably not call it that?
Yeah, echo what Pies and Aaron sort of said about Napoli this season. The two, obviously, main men up front they've got. Anguissa as well. Someone mentioned in the chat, he's been really good for them this season as well. He was at Fulham, I believe, at one point as well. And that centre-back Kim as well, he's doing really well for them as well. And they're just playing unbelievable football. And like, as a Napoli fan, you'd be really happy with that draw. So yeah, I said before, they're basically a foot in the final, I think. And like, it's weird because now I'm thinking about the draw. It's like, if we somehow manage to get past, let's just say Madrid and then whoever City or Bayern, then on paper, I'm just saying on paper, we'll have a favourable sort of final in a way. I know Napoli obviously will be difficult, but I don't think they're the level of City, Bayern and Madrid. So there's the flip side of that, where if we do end up reaching the final, then I guess on paper it's a easier final for us on paper. But I'm definitely not ruling anything out with Napoli, man. They're forced to be reckoned with this season. They're proper solid, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I still find it crazy that, like, obviously Juve got 15 points deducted. They would be a little bit closer than the other ones are, but they would still only be, if they had 15 points more, it would still only be on 73. No, not 73, 53, sorry. Like, there would still be 15 points behind Napoli. Like, 15 points clear at the top of the table. PSG are nowhere near that. Bayern in Germany are nowhere near that. You know, Madrid or Barcelona in this season are nowhere near that far clear. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And Napoli, since Sarri left them, haven't really gotten that close to doing anything special again. But with Spalletti, Osimhen, Maradona, it sure as hell is working out. As you can see on screen, to bring a little bit more positivity back into things, as a lot of smart asses in the chat think like, oh, we're absolutely done, we stand no chance. Now, I agree, we're not the favourites, but hey, look at the stats. Chelsea have only lost one of their 7 games against Real Madrid in European competition. Indeed, they have the lowest percentage of losses against Real Madrid of 40% of any side to have played them more than 5 times in Europe. Thorn in their eyes. I mean, hey, as whoever put it in the chat to tell me to look at it, said, this is football heritage. Where is it?
Also, can I say as well,
remember while you're looking at that, Reece James has only been dribbled past by Vinicius once in every single time that he's played against him.
All right, let's not jinx anything, bro.
No, I'm not jinxing it. I'm just pointing out stats.
Reece
I ain't
James won't even
posted
be
any
up against
stats
Vinicius next time we play them, unless Potter does the same, that Tuchel does and plays him right centre back. Because if he plays right wing back,
it kind of suits us that with the underdogs as well. Like we've seen in the past where we're the underdogs and we somehow come through. I'm not trying to jinx anything like Pi said, but it's kind of suited us in a way where us not being the favourites has suited us, where everyone's not giving a chance to us, like especially in that year we went on to win it. So hey, never know, man. Never know.
You never know. One other question I have, and I'll ask you, Pies, maybe you know. Thiago Silva got injured in what game? In the game against Spurs, no?
What, recently?
Yeah.
Yeah,
against Spurs when Koulibaly and Kane and that whole thing happened.
Yeah,
so that was on the 26th of February. So in the last week of February. And he was supposedly going to be out for 6 weeks. And when is this game supposedly going to be? 11th or 12th of April. Is there a chance Thiago is fit for this?
I
think there's a small chance.
Yeah, probably second leg.
Just in terms of timing. Yeah, second leg has a good chance, I guess.
Well, Silva's not human, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow came back after 5 weeks.
Hey, if David Luiz can play without a hamstring in a Champions League final, give my guy a knee brace and off we go.
I love Thiago Silva, but look how good our defense has also been. Like, without him, we've been, like, Fofana, Koulibaly's actually been really, really good in the middle. So.
Yeah, but we haven't played Vinicius and Benzema yet, have we?
Nah, but I don't know, man. I got something. I don't know if it's just false confidence, but I don't know. Seeing what we did to them last year away, I know we was.
But with Thiago Silva.
yeah, I know maybe Tuchel was also a bit more of a cup manager, but I don't know, man. Like they're just Real Madrid. Like you guys saying, like how Bayern's defense and that's not that good. I don't think Real Madrid's defense is that good. So,
Oh yeah, no,
we'll
I
see.
agree with you on that. The problem is our attack isn't either.
True, but like I don't know, big
It
occasions.
just depends. If we
might
turn
go.
up, we can absolutely have them. The question
Yeah.
is, to what
I
level
just-
do we turn up?
I don't know. I just feel like at least one of these legs we're going to turn up. And what that leg will be is going to be interesting. Maybe
And
we
how,
turn up for
how
both.
not how far how to what extent we don't turn up at the other leg is also
Yeah.
going to be a decisive
Like,
factor.
it-
Like
like
last
even-
year, I guess.
Even
if
Real
we-
Madrid at home, like you think about it, like obviously Mendy made that mistake, but like the Benzema header was just outrageous. Like he's obviously the main threat. Like
Yeah.
the thing is with Benzema as well is like he can do nothing for 80 minutes and then just score twice in like 10 minutes. That's why he's so elite. So
Didn't he get injured as well against Liverpool? Didn't he go up
yeah,
injured?
but he got injured,
Or-
but I don't think like actually.
Oh, was it
injured,
not?
injured, just
Okay.
hurt, I think, but I could be wrong on that. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I'll take it back to you one last time to bring this one back up, because I've asked you about our chances, but I haven't asked you who you predict to go through between Real Madrid and Chelsea. Aaron, who do you predict to go through?
Come on now. You really think I'm going to say Real Madrid? Come on now. I think you know my answer already. I don't really need to say too much, but we're going to absolutely slap the living shit out of them.
Fair enough. Hey, absolutely love it. Love the confidence, like Graham Potter. I mean, we're going to win the fucking Champions League, as he says. Damesh, do you back us as well?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Have to, man. Can't be here like back in Madrid, man. Have to sort of back us. Like Pi said, I think defensively they're not that convincing. I think, and like we said, their main threats are Benzema, Vinicius, and then midfield. And as long as we combat that as well with sort of Kante getting back into the mix as well in terms of training and building up those minutes,
if Kante's
I think
at his best, that makes a
it'll be
big
key for us, man. And obviously having Silva back as well will massively boost our confidence as well. But yeah, man, our record. Well, I'm not going to say our record. Don't want to jinx it, but yeah, I'd definitely back us against Madrid, man. Like, why not? Why not? We're Chelsea Football Club in Europe, man. We're a different team in the leagues.
There you go. Hey, we absolutely are. Rich says Benzema is fit for a Clasico, which takes place this weekend. So sure, it doesn't seem injured. What have I seen here? I mean, yeah, that one may be a bit concerning, but let's worry about that once we get there. I mean, Mendy's back fit, but I don't quite see a remontada there. Pice, you're gonna back us as well, or you're gonna pull out the pessimist or realist, whichever way you want to look at it.
I hate predicting ties, but the fact is we've got the second leg at home means I'm going to put us through, because, like, I know obviously Real Madrid could just beat us at Stamford Bridge. They absolutely could, but
they did last year.
Yeah, they did last year, but I just think if we stay in that, like, if it's a 1-1 or, you know, even if we lose 1-0 like we did to Dortmund,
one goal,
I think we can go through, honestly. So I'm going to put us through. If the second leg was at the Bernabeu, I'd have us out. I think that's how I look at ties in the Champions League. I genuinely think being the second leg at home can be literally the difference between
especially now without away goals, because as it used to be, you had the much more difficult job on your hands, I guess, if you played the second leg away. But if you did get a goal, it kind of counted like two almost. So you had that benefit. Now you don't even have that benefit. So I do agree with you, Pi.
Yeah,
I do agree.
I mean, Champions League nights at Stamford Bridge hit different. So I'm hoping that's going to be the difference in this tie at least.
So do I. And I mean, obviously Real Madrid don't really have the league to come, so they are going to put all if they beat Barcelona this weekend, maybe they still have a small chance. But otherwise, you know, the league's done for them. So, like ourselves, in a very different realm, because they are second and we're 10th, they can focus all their efforts on the Champions League. But it's a tough one with Real Madrid, because on the one hand, I'm always thinking, like, they're just Champions League monsters. At the same time, like, would you not at some point get bored of winning the Champions League? Like, do you know what I mean? You never know.
And you just know Rudiger's going to play like a fucking 12 out of 10 in both legs as well.
Now, see, I think he's got an absolute howler in him.
I hope it's like Louise where he came back to Stamford Bridge and just gets sent off.
Yeah, he either
That'd be
gets sent
funny.
off, even though we still bottled that game with that late Martinelli.
Nah, I swear
equaliser.
if he scores a long shot against us, I'm genuinely done. Like,
If Rudiger scores a long shot against Kev, I will dig my own grave, man. What that flip? No, but I think it's got a stinker in him. To be honest, I think he won't even play. But it depends on obviously their injuries, right? Will Alaba be back? Will Mendy be back? Will all those players be back? If they're back, and I don't know the injury extent of them at the moment, then I don't even think he plays. Unless he plays him purely for like being against us. But I guess we'll have
Man,
to see.
I just-
Does anyone know about the suspensions on Madrid? So will they have any players on yellow cards that potentially miss a second leg? Or
not sure.
I don't know. I assume they have a couple, but I don't know as of right now. Oh, Mendy's already back, and they still play Nacho Fernandez left back. Ancelotti does weird
Ancelotti
things
is weird, man. He said he don't talk to Hazard at all. What a weird coach.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I mean, I think the way Hazard said it, Hazard also doesn't talk to Ancelotti, so I guess it's reciprocated. But hey, here we are. But yeah, I have to agree with you, boys. I have to back us. Second leg, I agree with Pice's sentiments and that. Unfortunately, and Bob put it here in the chat a minute ago, I'd be much more excited about this draw if Bayern City was on the other side. That's the thing, because how things can go, I gave us a chance against Madrid, and I could see if things go our way, we can absolutely pull this off. But the problem is, not only do we have to win over Man City and Bayern in the semi-final, in that game, as you can see, if I put my cursor on there, we would also play the second leg away if we did make the semi. So that is that.
At least we wouldn't be
tough.
like absolutely shitting ourselves in the final. So
Yeah,
I mean,
but then again,
I
if
would,
that
but,
final is flipping Napoli, I wouldn't even be shitting myself. I'd be going into it expecting us to win number 3.
yeah, maybe
even if
we
it's
do
like
wanna
say
play
Man
the
City
best
as well,
teams.
like sorry, if it's say if it's like say Man City, if we get in the semis, then like going away to Man City is not far anyway. So, and I think that'll make a difference as well. And let's be real, they don't have any fans anyway, so like it's not going to exactly be hostile, is it? Going away to City, obviously it's a difficult game on paper, but if we're talking about hostile environments,
I know it was the FA
they're the
Cup
one
and
team
the
that we
Cup,
want
you know
away.
how
So
the cup rounds there went this season.
yeah, true. But looking at the other teams, like if we had them away, then obviously it would be quite hostile and quite difficult, intimidating. But against City, like away, it's not going to be that kind of game. But yeah, man, we'll see.
Hey, we can only hope and pray. Let's quickly, just as a bit of fun, before we quickly spend some time talking about Chelsea versus Everton, because I don't have time this afternoon to do another stream, and I didn't have time yesterday to do a separate preview, so we will just include it into this one towards the end of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, hit that like button. That'd be massively appreciated. Of course, if you have any questions, anything for us to talk about, use the super chat function to make sure I see the message and highlight it so we can talk about it. But, boys, I'm going to go with majority. Well, I guess I'm going to go with each one's individual vote, and we'll see who was right by the end. You boys all went for Benfica beating Inter Milan, and you went for Napoli beating AC Milan. Do you then all see Napoli winning that semi-final? I'll start with you, Damesh.
What, Napoli in the semi-final? Yeah.
If Napoli play Benfica
regardless,
like you predicted, if Napoli win that.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, I think they'll confidently go through against Milan, but I think in the semis, if they get either Benfica or Inter, I still back them to go through. I think against Benfica will be a bit tighter. I think, but like I keep saying, I think they're a foot in the final, man. I think we can almost like sort of put them in the final. But crazy things have happened before, man. We'll see.
Absolutely, crazy things have happened before. Paistel, would you agree Napoli beat Benfica if that is to be the semi-final?
Sorry, what?
If Napoli Benfica is to be the semi-final, do you expect Napoli to win that?
Yeah, I think so. Like they've just been ridiculous this season. Like honestly, I watched them the other day, and they were so good, man. Their defense as well. Kim Min-jae in defense, he's a player. Yeah, I just think they're the best side on that draw. So, I'm going to put them into the final, but it is Champions League. There could be a shock somewhere. I mean, imagine if one of like Milan, AC Milan, or Benfica in the final. That would just be like, what the hell? Like, could be one of the most deadest Champions League finals ever. But yeah. I mean, at least Napoli would keep it interesting. I think just because of the quality they have up front.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just trying to check if Inter and Napoli have already played each other twice, or if they still have another tie against each other to go. They do still play each other one more time in the league. Because so far, when they've played each other, Napoli lost to Inter. But the difference, obviously, is this is now a two-legged affair, not a one-off game. So that obviously changes things drastically, because for my prediction, I obviously said Inter would beat Benfica. So I have Inter Napoli in the semi. I still think Napoli go through. I mean, obviously, it's a few weeks away, so anything can happen. Injuries, suspensions, all sorts of things can happen. And like I say, Napoli don't have that experience. But similar as with AC Milan, which one of the current Inter Milan players has that experience? Not one of them. So I'm not sure how much difference that is going to make. But Aaron, though, you also had Benfica Napoli. You expecting Napoli to win that?
Yep, I think they've got a pretty easy route to the final, if I'm being honest. Like they're just too good. I don't see any of those teams in their side of the draw beating them.
Fair dues. I mean, the thing is, Inter are second, but like I say, they're 18 points off Napoli. So, yeah, they might be second, which is pretty good. And, it makes you think they're quite close to Napoli, but they're not really, even if they beat them in their head-to-head, the one that they had so far this season. All right, boys, you then said Bayern would beat City. So then Chelsea-Bayern. I'm going to ask you to predict that one too. What are you saying? I'll start with you, Aaron.
I can't predict Chelsea Bayern because I said City would go through. So if we're going Chelsea City, then the realist in me says that's where it comes to an end. But the shamelessness in me says we beat them. So I'm going to go with my shamelessness because I don't really care. So I'm saying we beat them.
There you go. Hey, you might as well. No one's going to hold you accountable for this, is it? Is that Pies and Mash? Yes, it is Pies and Mash. From Scotland, apparently, according to Clutch. Pies, I will ask
Was it
you.
Ireland or Wales? Maybe
Wherever. Ashraf says Silva out for the first leg. Probably, maybe, potentially. Like, I think by the time we play the first leg, it will have been 5 weeks since his injury. So, and he was said to be out for 5 to 6 weeks. So who knows? Maybe we rush him. Maybe we don't rush him with the purpose of the second leg. We'll have to wait and see how his recovery goes. Once you're talking 6 weeks rather than 3 or 4, there's always a little bit of each body heals a little bit differently. So there's a chance, but there's also a chance it takes 7 weeks instead. But yeah, Pies, you also predicted Bayern. Do you see us beating Bayern at all? If after you predicted us to beat Madrid, especially with the second leg in Munich, tough one.
Yeah, no, I think we'd go out against Bayern and City, to be honest. City, I mean, one of you made a good point. I mean, Etihad is not an intimidating ground in the second leg, but yeah,
Neither is the Allianz Arena, though, let's be honest.
Premier League versus Premier League. I mean, yeah, anything can happen. But Bayern,
Steve Winchester in the chat said second leg is at home in the semis. How do you know that? D. Winchester, and what is your basis of saying that? Because if that is true, then that will tell me we are at home first in the quarterfinal.
It's not true.
I don't think so either. Fairs, okay. You expect us to go out. I think it's at least honest and realistic. Damesh, you also predicted Bayern to go through. Do you give us a chance against Bayern? Do you think we will beat Bayern? Let's say like that.
Yeah, the optimistic side of me says, yeah, we do beat Bayern, but I think the realistic side of me probably says no, to be honest, against either team. But yeah, like on paper, if we do somehow manage to get past Madrid, on paper, I guess if it is Bayern, it's kind of an easier game for us in a way. And I definitely think we can get at Bayern. I think it'll be much closer than people think. But yeah, they're I don't know what their status is in the Bundesliga. I don't know how many points they clear at the top or something, but
I think they're level with Dortmund. Or maybe
they're level. Okay, so they still technically got to go on and win the league. So that could play a factor during that time as well.
They're 2 points ahead, but it's very tight. From first, that's Bayern. Well, to be honest, now there's a bit of a gap created itself. A few weeks ago, like the first 6 were like within 3 points. Now, well, I don't know how this has happened because now it's 12 points. I don't know how that came about.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're 2 points ahead of Dortmund. They're 7 points ahead of Leipzig and 7 points ahead of Union Berlin and 7 points ahead of Freiburg. So
yeah, I mean, they still got to get the job done in the league as well. So that might play a factor come the sort of semi-final where it might be the same gap or they might have extended it. So again, against Bayern or City would be tough anyway, regardless if it's Madrid or us. I think it'll be a tough sort of semi-final to get through. But yeah, I have to back us in the semi-final, to be honest.
Fair. I mean, the Winchester says UEFA checked the date. I don't think the dates are actually
The
proper
provisional
dates.
dates, I
yet. I
think.
think they're just giving us random dates rather than anything decisive.
Bro,
Until-
the draw's already been drawn. We're at home for the like. It's how it is. It's not changing.
The only thing there is something in me that says that last year, when the draw happened, the team that, because everybody agrees with what we were talking about, Pies, in terms of that being home in the second leg is the advantage, that actually being drawn first puts you home in the second leg. Which, if that is true, and there's a little memory in me that says maybe that's a thing, but I don't fully remember it to claim it. But if that's a thing, then that would mean that for this one, I guess the other way around, but also this one. But yeah, it's definitely, they're definitely switched. It's definitely not home for both second legs.
Was there not a change last season or the season before where we had a game where we were meant to be home or away first, and then they switched the order around?
Last year
sure
they
there was.
redrew it, by the way, because there was an issue. That was what I think. That's probably what you're remembering.
No. There was a separate thing where we had a game where it was meant to be either. I think it was away first, and then it got switched round because
Was it
of
Lille? Was it Lille against Lille? I think it was.
I'm not sure. There was some sort of reasoning behind it, but it got switched round to being at home first instead. But
I think it's because was it because of like
yeah, I think didn't us and Spurs were
TFL
supposedly
stuff.
going to play on
I
the
think
same
'cause-
day.
Yeah, I
No,
think
no.
'cause
You
of
know when it
TFL
was
stuff.
when we played Madrid, because someone from London, Spurs presumably played Atletico, didn't they? And that's why it was both games in Madrid and both games in London, and that's why they had to somehow switch
Yeah,
it.
that's right. Yeah, I think because of like
Because of
obviously, like,
police
TFL
presence,
issues and
probably
stuff,
they
and
didn't have
police and
enough
stuff,
police.
By the way, Real Madrid have no yellow card risks for the second leg.
Yeah, because they had Vinicius who got a yellow in the first leg, and the second leg,
Chelsea have
Chilwell, Enzo, Cucurella, and Kepa.
Chelsea have Thiago Silva, James, Koulibaly, Gallagher, Mudryk, Kepa, and Enzo.
Fuck it. Oh.
But Chilwell got a yellow card in the last game as well, didn't he?
It's accumulation.
Oh shit!
I think on your third one you get suspended. So, but then does Kepa already have one? Because maybe it's already the second one that suspends. I don't know. But yeah, it's these four. Obviously Mudryk, but like, just if he does play, don't be an idiot. Should be okay. Gallagher, how much will he play? It could be an idiot it could be an issue if he comes on and helps us try to see out the game, or if being the first leg away and we try to maybe park the bus a little bit, maybe Gallagher starts. Could be. Imagine how the fan base lose the shit if Gallagher starts away at Real Madrid. So that's his whole separate topic. But yeah, Thiago Silva could be a bit of an issue. I guess if he doesn't play the first leg, it's fine, because I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but as far as I know, the yellow card accumulation stops after the first leg of the quarterfinals. So if we make it to the second leg without the suspensions, then we won't have suspensions for the semi-final on yellow cards.
CFC Daily's saying different.
Who's saying different?
CFC Daily said, because someone just asked about that. He said,
I read that a couple of days ago, but I don't remember the source, so it could be wrong.
Someone, Football Chelsea asked, do they get reset after the first leg with a whole tie? That's a big problem for us. Daily put second leg, so could miss the semi-final if we get to that.
Okay. Well, like I say, I read different, but I guess whatever I read could have been wrong, I suppose. So I guess we'll have to wait and see about that one. Did I ask every one of you already if you expect Chelsea to beat the opposition? I think so. So if not, shout and say no. But yeah, I obviously expect. I said City would beat Bayern, and then obviously, but I still said Chelsea would beat Real Madrid. As much as that's more hope than genuine expectation. But unfortunately, I'll have to just be honest. I don't think we beat City over two legs. Like in a one-off game, everything's possible, but I just over two legs. I know. Like it's possible. Everything's possible. There's always a small chance. I'm not saying it's 0%, but I'm sorry. I can't sit there and expect that. I'd be silly.
Just be shameless. It's fine. Don't worry. Just be shameless.
Hey, I might be shameless, but I don't try to put my expectations too high, so I don't get as disappointed.
Just be shameless with the people, and you can think what you want to think in your head. It's fine.
All right, we'll win the Champions League, boys. It is what it is. It is what it is.
That's more like it.
There you go.
Not just the Champions League.
I'm saying if we make the final, we'll win the thing, but not as sure about making the final.
I've got you to say what I need to say. I'm clipping that bit where you're saying we're winning the Champions League.
Yeah. Just give it. It's fine.
Yeah, you're getting clipped now.
There's no problem. But yeah, I guess in a second we can go into talking about Chelsea versus Everton a little bit. this happened. The stream is now before the press conference, so I don't know if Potter will say anything useful in terms of who's fit, who's not. We know Raheem Sterling is not because he's not been called up for the England squad with the reason of him being injured. So that tells me he's not available for our game tomorrow either. Can say I generally don't know. As far as I know, he wasn't called up by France, but I don't know if that is because if we had planned to play him, surely France would have asked us about this. So then if we would plan to play him tomorrow, even if it's off the bench, obviously, I very much doubt it's going to start. I don't know how likely, like, I feel like if we plan to play him tomorrow, France would have called him up. So the fact that we're not, well, or the fact that they didn't, tells me he won't play. But one quick thing that I want to show on screen, just to quickly talk about it, because I think we all quite enjoyed it, even if it seemed a little bit forced.
Well, first, and on that bombshell,
yesterday came out with a statement. And
what would your message be to these fans? It's an exciting end to the season that we can all look forward to, isn't it? Well, firstly, it's thank you, because they've been incredibly fair with us. They've stuck with the team. The support we've had has been amazing. And we'll lead them on Saturday. We'll try and beat Everton, and then we'll take the draw, and then we'll try and win the fucking Champions League.
There you go. I mean, Tice, you've been very critical of things that Graham Potter has said for a while. I'm sure this is along those lines where you enjoyed that, even if it's a bit seemingly a little bit forced. I'm not sure if he would have been told to say that, or if he's just intelligent enough that the fans want you to say something like this, so that's why he said it. But I rate it regardless, man. I can't even lie. Like, but what do you think, guys?
Yeah, I saw a perfect quote tweet yesterday when someone was like mocking how like when you're allowed to swear for the first time, but you know it's quite funny. I found it funny. I liked it. You know, he definitely knows the fans want to hear something like this, and you know he's not stupid. He'll know that people are recording. You know what he's saying, so he knows it will go online.
But at least it shows he's quite smart and knows what's happening, you know? So that's why, as much as people are trying to say, oh, he's just doing this because he knows that's what the fans want to hear, that's okay. But at least he's aware of that and then smart enough to say it for that reason. Like, this is not something to praise too highly, but with the criticism that people have given him until now, I think it goes against some of the criticism, or it shows that maybe he's learned a little bit from being here for a little while, and he's learned how to slightly act appropriately when at Chelsea. So like that's the benefit I would give him. I'm not saying here this is now the greatest thing of all time and look at him, oh, we're going to win the Champions League. But because I see it feels a bit forced, like he swore for the first time in his life, or like he seemed unsure, should he swear or should he not? He could have just said flip it, you know, if he was a bit uncomfortable with it. But hey, I still think, hey, if people criticize him for not saying things like this, and then they say, oh, it's cringy when he does, or it's forced if he does, well, that's just you having an agenda. That's all it is. Like, you can't be criticizing him first, and then he does it, and then you don't like it still. Like, which way do you want it then? Then don't criticize in the first place if you don't like it in hindsight. But Aaron, did you enjoy it, or was it a case for you like, well, it seemed a bit too forced to take too much from it?
I enjoyed it until about half an hour, 45 minutes ago when we got drawn against Real Madrid. So it backfired quite heavy, but it's quite funny to see him force a bit of personality out of him. It is forced, let's not get twisted. It's very forced, but it's quite funny. I'll give him that.
First, Damesh, your thoughts when you saw that after on the socials last night?
Yeah, it was just funny to see, man. Like, you can understand why he sort of used that sort of like the F word and stuff, because like the amount of pressure that he's been on, he's probably kind of just sort of like trying to vent out and bring some like a passion and desire back to our club. So yeah, like fair play. I mean, if he's saying we're winning the Champions League, we're winning the Champions League, aren't we, boys? So yeah, I don't know. Good sort of spirit and fight from him. But yeah, we'll see how he actually does on when it matters.
Absolutely. We will see how he actually does. And D. Winchester, thanks for clearing it up. No worries. Obviously, can't always be right. Is what it is. I want to quickly bring up another one because Aspie came out with quite a cool statement as well. And like I quoted it, every now and again, like I'm not always the biggest fan of Aspie as captain and everything. And I do sometimes think he doesn't quite do enough to be captain. But every now and again, he does come out with proper Chelsea captain statements. He said at the club event yesterday, it was obviously Potter, Emma Hayes, Aspie and Magda Eriksson, of course, the captain and the managers of the men's and women's team. But as we said, whatever we get, we take. They should be more worried about us. And again, maybe a little bit forced, maybe a little bit like this is what the fans want and need to hear. But I still like the confidence, I still like the confidence in ourselves. Do we agree with that, Aaron? It's just about, when it comes to things like this, I think a lot of it happens in your head. And if you tell yourself they have to worry about us, if you tell yourself we're the guy, we're the thing, I feel like you're more likely to actually achieve it, and you're more likely to actually pull it off than if you sit there worried for the next, until we play them, right? So from that perspective, I think it's a positive.
Yeah, I think it's more trying to speak it into existence and get a bit of belief going back into the team, because we've been on a bad run. We're starting to get a lot better now with the 3 wins, but I think it's more about getting that belief back in the squad, saying, you know what, we can do this. Like, we're not just a bunch of scrubs. We might be having an off season, but we're still fucking Chelsea at the end of the day, and this is the kind of thing that we're built for, going long distance in these competitions, challenging to win them, sort of thing. So it is nice to hear that from your captain, but obviously it's one thing saying it, and then it's another being actually able to perform on the pitch. So we'll have to see how that goes.
We will have to see how that one goes. Pies, thoughts on this one? I assume you have somewhat similar thoughts about Aspie quite often, but on this one, at least in terms of talking it into existence, it's a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I rate it, to be fair. I think that's the type of mentality that we need to have. We don't really care what opposition we face. They should be more worried about us. I mean, if this quote was from Reece James, this would probably have, 20,000 likes. So, just because it's from Aspie, don't knock it down. I think that's a great mentality to have.
There you go. Sorry, I have to unmute myself. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Damesh, just quickly, not much more to add probably than what we've already discussed, but
yeah, the boys summed up really well, to be fair. About instilling that sort of confidence and belief back into the team. He's our club captain, and he's arguably, apart from Thiago Silva, he's won the most at our club, so he's got that zero mentality as well. So, and that's something that we need to sort of progress into these sort of competitions. So yeah, I love the fighting spirit from Aspie, man. He's massive off the pitch as well, which will help as well. So
absolutely. I could not agree more. All right, boys, just quickly, like I say, because it won't be maybe that quick, but we'll try to get through it as quickly as we can. Because I don't have time for another stream in the afternoon and didn't have time yesterday, we will also talk about Chelsea versus Everton tomorrow. Boys, can we make it 4 from 4? Can we extend our winning run, especially going into international break? It would be quite good, finishing it off with another victory, going away on a positive note before we get into the real thick of things with Real Madrid then coming up fairly soon after as well. I'll start with you, Aaron. What do you think? Beating Everton tomorrow, are you confident?
Everton are fucking arse. So if we don't beat them after we've gone on a 3-game win streak, then I'm losing hope. But we should.
It's Sean Dyche Harambo. Get ready.
Oh, Sean Dyche and his Harambo. Don't even get me started. Fucking hell. It's a BLM midfield of Onana, Decore, and who else has he got?
isn't it?
And then he's got his wingers out wide, whipping balls in. Fucking, he's got McNeil and Iwobi on the wing, just whipping balls into fucking Neil Mopai. Like that, give it a break, man. Fucking hell, they're shit. if we don't fucking beat them, oh Lord have mercy on fucking Graham Potter and his winning the Champions League bullshit.
How often have you thought that this season? Do you know what I mean?
No, please.
Not
we're moving forward.
Everton,
We don't need to think about it.
Don't be too confident, because the more confident you are, the more likely we are to bottle it.
Yeah, but you're forgetting it's not confidence. I'm just very shameless. So it's I'm never gonna not act shameless and say we're gonna win. So
some call it shameless, some call it deluded. Whichever one you want.
I prefer shameless. Shameless.
Fair enough. All right. Pice, expect the winning run to continue. Obviously, like you said, Sean Dyche. We all know that our little issues with our fairly small Stamford Bridge pitch, and the more defensive, the more well organised the opposition are, the more difficult it becomes. But they're obviously also in a position where they need any point they can get, really. So, but I guess 1 point they can park the bus for that. So, do you see just the confidence that there's come back into the side with the last 3 wins is enough to get another win? Or do you see us being back to misery tomorrow?
I mean, I feel like we need an early goal, to be honest, because, as you said, the longer the game goes on, especially against a Sean Dyche team, I mean, they're just going to be parking it to the next extreme. So, yeah, they'd probably love to come to Stamford Bridge and get a point. So, hopefully we start very, very fast tomorrow and we use the momentum that we've built over the last 3 games. Leicester was not an easy game, but it was we played better than I thought we was going to. So hopefully tomorrow we just, wipe the floor with them. But it's going to be a difficult game because, they're just the type of side that are difficult to play against. So, it's stupid. I know, I don't care where they are on the table. They're just not a nice. Sean Dyche teams have never been nice to play. So, it's going to be a physical, nasty, they're going to pump long balls, all that type of thing. So, yeah, we just got to try and play our best football and open their defence up, which I'm sure is going to include about 7 people at the back. So, yeah.
There you go. And Aaron has just put in a private chat here. Mourinho has avoided Manchester United on the road to the final because United have been drawn against Sevilla next round. Who have Roma been drawn against in the next round, Aaron?
Let me pull it up 2 seconds off the top of my head. I can't remember, but United have got Sevilla. Juve, they drew. Let me pull it up 1 second.
Juve have got Sporting, and then Juve or Sporting are playing Manu or Sevilla in the semis.
Yeah, and then Roma have finaled, and Leverkusen have Union Saint Gilloise, I think they're called. The team that recently went through. I don't know, they're from Belgium. And then Roma finaled will play the winner of Bayern and Union Saint Gilloise. And United Sevilla play the winner of Juventus Sporting. So Mourinho could make it to the final against United.
Although, let's not, fair note, if you beat Shakhtar Donetsk, and I know obviously they lost some players over there with everything going on in Ukraine and everything, but still, if you beat them 7-1, you can't be that bad. So, yeah. I'll give them that benefit of the doubt. I'll give them that one. Damesh, just quickly, do we beat Everton? Do you reckon so?
Yeah, we have to, man. Like Aaron and Pi said, Everton are just whack, man, and it's going to be a really difficult game, I think, for us generally. I think because in my opinion, I think we normally struggle against these kind of teams where it's low block, proper defensive, and allowing sort of the teams for us to sort of go at them. So I think it's going to be difficult. I think Enzo is going to be really crucial for this game in terms of his passing ability, which we know he can do and stuff. And it's just about our forward players making those runs into good spaces and stuff. So it's gonna be a tough game. Honestly, it won't shock me at all if we end up losing that 1-0, just a header from a corner or something like that.
Existence, bro.
No, one thing is I put negative energy on Chelsea so that we win. That's
How many more times do I have to talk about being shameless in the same stream? Can we just all be shameless? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We shouldn't need to be shameless to beat Everton, bro. We need to.
Well, I mean, they packed the
maybe we do.
Maybe we do. It's not that point, man. But no, but honestly, in all seriousness, we should be slapping Everton 4 or 5-0. For being honest,
we should
take confidence as well. They're going to be on a high as well. They beat Brentford, I think, 1-0 last week, didn't they? So. It's crucial points for them as well. There's still no relegation.
You just say they beat Frankfurt.
Oh no, Brentford. I said sorry.
Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford.
A lot more sense than Frankfurt. I was so confused.
It's obviously big for them, sort of because they're still in the relegation battle. So I'd never underestimate teams like that because at this time of the season as well, fight for your life. It is going to be a tough game, but realistically, we should be putting at least 4 or 5 past them. To be honest, because it is Everton.
I mean, at the same time, that's not how football goes. How often does Sean Dyche concede more than 2 goals?
True. Unless you play against Man City or something, but
it's kind of crazy. If you look at the Premier League relegation battle from 12th in Palace,
they sacked their manager as well, didn't
they? In bottom. It's 5 points between 12th and 20th. You know how mad that is? That's crazy. All of them from 12 to 20th, they could all still get relegated, easily. No one's done yet. No, literally, it's crazy, genuinely crazy. All right, boys, let's get that lineup screen up on screen, I guess. Are we all in agreement that we should be sticking to the 3-4-3 now? Because we won what feels like no games before, and now we've gone to this and we won 3 in a row. So surely, as much as we maybe all of us potentially think that in the end goal, whether it's next season, whenever, a back 4 is better, but just because it has a potentially higher ceiling. I think at the moment we just need to stick to the back 3. Are we all in agreement with this?
Yes.
Pies, you in agreement as well?
Yeah, on paper we should. Hopefully I don't know. I just feel like 3 at the back against Everton might be a bit, might end up being a bit long. But because we have Chilwell and Reece James, I mean, Reece James should be back, so should be all right.
Should be all right. Damesh, you agree? Back 3 is what we're going to do at the moment?
I say just stick to what we're good at the moment, and it's working. So why change it? Unless obviously we're hit by unknown injuries and stuff, which I doubt. But yeah, no reason to change it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that's sure, I don't know if Mendy is going to be even fit to be involved, but he won't be involved. Well, he might be involved, but he's not going to start. Kepa is going to be in goal. But what about the back 3? Excuse me. Obviously, Thiago Silva is still out. So you're kind of picking from Cucurella, Badiashile, Koulibaly, Fofana, and Chalobah, realistically. Which two of those 5, I get left out? Aaron, I'll start with you. And which 3, obviously, then would you start in that back 3?
It's difficult because Badiashile hasn't started the last few games. Well, I think it's the last 3 that we've won. He hasn't even started because before Dortmund, we played the back 3. I don't think he played in that, but
did he? I think he started against Leeds. Did he not?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I don't know because we've got after this. I think we've got a break anyway. We've got international break after this anyway, so it's literally 1 game, and then we've got a 2-week break. So I don't know whether you stick to the same, whether you make any changes, but I think with the way that the squad's been working so far in those games that we've played, I think it'd be a bit weird to change it all of a sudden. So I think we just stick with the same back line.
Okay. I will give you my argument for why I would make one change to this. I would play Badiashile over Cucurella in this one, purely because we're playing against Sean Dyche.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. I'll go with that. Actually,
I know they don't really have. I'm not sure if Calvert-Lewin is fit, but I know they don't really have the whole striker situation as on point as they would probably like, and not like Sean Dyche had at Burnley. But he loves the long ball
up front.
Sorry,
I think they put Demarai Gray up front the last game against Brentford.
Okay, well, maybe we don't need to play Badiashile then, just for that. But still, they like a long ball. It's important to win our headers as much. And Everton won't exactly play possession much. At least I don't expect them to. I haven't really watched them under Sean Dyche, I will be honest. So maybe he does it more than I expect them to. But this is not the type of game where I need Cucurella to be aggressive from the back 3 and tackling midfielders, because I don't think the Everton midfielders will have the ball that much, because it's got to be the centre backs punting it to the forwards. So for that reason, I will play Badiashile. Will you change your mind, Aaron, or will you stick to Cucurella on your end?
Yeah, you make a very compelling argument there. I'll give you that. I'll probably change mine as well, because even just looking at their sort of lineups that they're playing, the stats, the average positions, a lot of their play is within their own half. So I think you could have Cucurella there, where it's he's a little bit more aggressive, trying to push the play on a bit, which could help as well. But I think with the way especially for set pieces and stuff, where they've got Keane, Tarkowski, Decore, Onana, these boys are big players. So it's one of them where you might want to have that extra taller centre back in order to try and nullify that sort of threat that they have aerially.
Fair dues. And also, I want to just be fair to Badiashile. He never really deserved to be dropped. It so happened that he isn't eligible for the Champions League, and Cucurella had an absolute blinder since then, and it's been brilliant. So it's a bit unfortunate for Badiashile. And I also expect Cucurella to play quite a lot of the games in April, purely because against good teams that have possession, that do the whole midfield thing, against those is where I think Cucurella will be picked at left centre back quite often, not just against Real Madrid, where obviously Badiashile won't be eligible again. So, we need to give Badiashile a couple of games anyway. And I think against Everton, it makes sense. Pies, would you agree, especially with the way it's going to be against Sean Dyche and stuff, or would you stick to Cucurella? I assume Koulibaly and Fofana you're going to be in agreement with.
Yeah, no, I agree with this back 3, to be fair. I mean, you make great points about their height. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's out of the game, but they've still got another tall young striker who they could play. I think his name's Sims or something. So yeah, but you guys make good points, especially from corners and stuff. Their defenders, Onana, and Tarkowski and Cody and all this. They've got tall players. So
good point.
Yeah, I think McNeil as well. He's tall. So yeah, I mean it's a good choice to have. And like you said, Badiashile has done nothing to be dropped. It's just we've got a lot of good players that can play in the back 3. So yeah, I think I'd like to see him come back in.
Fair dues. Damesh, are you in agreement as well with Badiashile, or would you pick Cucurella? I assume again you're going to pick the same for the other 2 positions.
Yeah, I would have said Badiashile as well over Cucurella. I agree with the back three. Agree with what sort of the points you guys made. Like, I think the big thing for me is the sort of physical threat Everton will pose. Like you guys mentioned about corners, free kicks, and stuff. They're going to be right up for it in terms of like trying to get those set pieces. And I believe Badiashile is the tallest in our team. I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it would be important for him to sort of nullify
maybe
their
similar height to Chalobah.
Maybe, maybe, possibly. But I think to sort of nullify that physical attacking threat from them from like corners and set pieces will be crucial as well. So, and then say if it does go on like a 0-0 for like until the second half, we can always drop one centre back and bring on an attacker. So we can
just bring on Cucurella and become more aggressive in that sense.
Yeah, there's that as well. So probably stick with the back three, same back three.
Fair dues. Dharmesh, I'll stick with you. Let's do both full wing backs in one go. I assume there's not really much to argue, not much of a debate to be had. Reece James, sure, he's not at the moment playing all the games, but because we didn't have a midweek game, and I know he was ill last week, but he should be back now, surely, and we have an international break coming up, so surely we have to go with those two, no?
Yeah, 100%. If obviously Reece James is fit, obviously you start him. I believe he's been called up to England as well, so that's I don't know, caused a little bit of anxious in me because I just
but
don't
Potter
know.
doesn't start. Sorry, not Potter. Southgate doesn't start him every game anyway, so that's why I'm not particularly
that's true as well.
bothered by that, to be honest.
That's a good point. Actually, yeah. But yeah, if Chilwell's fit, obviously he played. Chilwell's in probably our best player on form right now, arguably.
And he won't play for England either because he always plays Luke Shaw, didn't he? So
yeah, true. And I think Chilwell's set piece delivery will be crucial in this game as well.
Yeah.
For those sort of set pieces that we get for the sort of the three centre backs and like maybe assuming Havertz starts as well, be crucial for them to sort of get their heads onto things, win second balls and stuff. So yeah, I agree with sort of Chilwell and Reece James. If not Reece James, then yeah, I'd probably stick Ruben there. If obviously Reece James isn't fit to start, then yeah, Ruben would be add also height to the team as well, and also can drop in midfield as well and try and combat that that midfield that they have.
Of course, absolutely. Pice. Same wing backs, yeah. There's not really much to argue. We will get to positions where there will be more disagreement, but for now, we're probably all going to be in agreement, right?
Yeah, man, these are wing backs making me excited to watch tomorrow. I love Chilwell and James. That wing back duo is just it's saucy, man. It's so good. So yeah, definitely these two. There's no one else. There's no one else.
Fair. Kept short and simple. Aaron, similar thoughts, I assume?
Yep, exactly the same.
There you go. Let's get into midfield. Pice, I'll let you go first on this one. It's been Enzo and Kovacic for a fair few games now. Expect the same midfield duo?
Yeah, I think so. Kovacic scored last game, so I think Graham Potter will want to build on confidence. I think it will be these two because they've gained momentum, and also we don't have a game after this for like 2 weeks, so I feel like you can just play whatever Potter thinks his current strongest 11 is. So
is there any case to be made to put a slightly more physical midfielder in the team, whether that's Rubens or Zakaria, just to combat what Everton do? Or shall we just stick to what we know, I suppose?
It's a good point, but I feel like, that's the reason of the addition of, Badiashile in the back, because Badiashile and Koulibaly can definitely step in as well. So I think it'll be these two in midfield. Yeah, just based off building confidence as well, more than anything, I think. But it's definitely a change you would make if Kovacic was not, 100%. Dealing with the aggression. But I don't see Kovacic does like a scrap. So
yeah, he does. Yeah. He does. It's a weird one because obviously they were both brilliant in the last game. Kovacic scoring an absolutely ridiculous scissor kick and Enzo with one of the best assists you'll see. I still feel in all three of these games that we now won, I still feel that even in this formation with the back three, this midfield partnership lacks a little bit of balance. But that balance could also come the more they play together. So it's kind of a back and forth where part of me is like, I still would like to see Enzo with Zakaria. But I mean, Potter isn't even giving it a go. So I haven't even seen it as a sub yet where it works, because when Zakaria's come on, we've changed to a midfield 3, not kept it as a pivot. So, and when he did, he brought him on for Enzo. So I still don't really know if Potter even sees Zakaria as that guy. And if Zakaria is going to be the more offensive one and Enzo is going to sit, well, then there's no point playing Zakaria. Then you might as well play Kovacic other than for a little bit of pace and height reasons, physicality, I suppose. But in terms of, I don't want Zakaria to always be forward. Then again, he has a goal in him, it's kind of a thing he does. But yeah, if he's not going to be the more defensive one, and Potter hasn't until now given me the signs to think that he will be, I think you just got to stick with those two. And like I say, hope that the more and more that they play together, the better and better it works.
Hey, look, we
at
got
the end of the day, if we're honest, we're just preparing Enzo to play with Kante anyway. As much as I love Koba and I hope that he stays, when Kante's fit, it's going to be Enzo and Kante, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. We all know that that's what's going to happen. Pice, you were trying to say something? Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, we'll definitely see different midfield combinations in April, because I looked at our fixture list. I tweeted out we got 9 games next month. So
yeah, exactly. Compared to February where we had like 2.
Lucky we have a 55-man squad.
Yeah, that is lucky. I mean, Horizon says, when the F is Kante back? Well, he may be back. Well, that's what Potter said last week, that he may be back for this game, but he then won't start. He will come off the bench. But I guess
feel
Potter
like there's
will
a
tell
press
us later
conference
on.
in an hour, right?
Sorry? Yeah, press conference in an hour.
There should be his press conference in an hour from now, so we'll see, I guess. But...
Exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if they leave Kante out for another time and play him in the first game back, but we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. But Aaron, you in agreement with this midfield too, or would you do something different rather than Kovacic and Enzo?
Nah, I'd probably stick with the same. It looked all right, pretty decent in the last game. So where we're still on a bit of a win streak, getting that bit of momentum, and I think it's better to not make too many changes. I don't think that's a necessary change we need to make.
Fair. And why? Yeah, because Kante is never fit. So that's why, Kova is often injured, Kante is often injured. They just need to make sure they're not injured at the same time, and then they both get plenty of game time. That's my logic. Pice, are you Potter in if he wins the Champions League? Well, surely yes. Like, how can anyone want the manager if they win as the Champions League out? Like, surely not. Come on.
I don't even need to
right?
answer
Am I right in assuming that? Like, surely.
Oh, I don't even need to answer that question. Like, if we beat Real Madrid, Bayern, or City,
even if we just beat Real Madrid, there will be very few Potter out people left, I think.
Very true, very true.
Even if we lose to City after, like if we beat Madrid in Europe over 2 legs with fans, be pretty impressive. But yeah, Damesh, you in agreement with the midfield too as well?
Yeah, if it ain't broke, why fix it, innit? So I'll probably keep the same midfield for this game. Kovacic's our captain right now currently as well, so I don't see him dropping from the team as well. Him and Enzo we're pretty decent against Leicester. They've obviously both got their own frailties and stuff, but I thought overall they did all right against Leicester, and we'll see against Everton, see how that sort of plays out. I think those dribbles that Kovacic does, I know obviously they rotate in terms of sitting in that 6 role, but I think his dribbles and his progressive play will be quite important for us. Where Everton trying to sort of break that low block in a way against Everton. So I'll probably stick with that midfield, to be honest. And I think our squad will definitely come more in use, like you said, over April when we have 10 games you said in was it 11 games you said in April or something like that? Yeah.
It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy for sure, and hopefully not too many injuries. But yeah, if we have Kobo, if we have Enzo, if we have Kante, if we have Zakaria, Ruben, we'll have enough midfield options. But yeah, let's get to the front 3. Obviously, it may be like this. It may be a little one like that at times. It will probably be a mix of the two throughout the game. So we'll just keep it as this for now. 2 things. Sterling, like we touched on a little bit earlier, still out. Presumably, we don't have the confirmation from Potter, but he's not been called up for the England squad, and Gareth Southgate said he's injured. So, we have to expect him not to be available, which leaves us a little bit of a slight conundrum, I suppose, because now that we had this last weekend against Leicester, we were successful, but we played something that we didn't necessarily expect, with Mudryk playing up front and Havertz playing this, what says here, player 10 role, even though there was obviously a lot of fluid movement between. Also, what's changed is Mason Mount is probably back. So does anyone think Mount starts? Or even more so, but I kind of know all of the answers to that. Does anyone think he should start? But how would you feel it? Now, I would just say what I would do, or what I'm sure about. Well, Felix will start. I know he got taken off at halftime, but he will still start. And hopefully just work a little bit harder off the ball. And then he's amazing. He just needs to learn to work a little bit hard and be a bit more ready for physical contact, because that's what he seems a little bit afraid of sometimes. But yeah, and now I know Havertz will play, and I think Havertz should play on the basis of the last couple of games. I just don't know which position, because I mean, Mudryk was okay and he got that assist at the end, but against Everton at home, like they're not going to leave gaps like Leicester do. What do I do with Mudryk up front against Everton, against the Sean Dyche team? So to me, that would be kind of pointless. So what are we doing? Like, there's also a shout to be made for Christian Pulisic. He's been back for a little minute now. Could you involve him like in a Sterling type role and play Havertz up front again and then Pulisic here potentially? I know I said I was going to say what I would do. Don't even know yet. So I know Felix is going to start, and I know Havertz is going to start, but I don't know where Havertz is going to start. So I will actually go to you first, Pice. What do you think? Is there something in you that maybe puts Felix on the right-hand side? I think it doesn't really matter to Felix because he's not fully on the right anyway. So I think it doesn't really matter to him whether he plays left or right personally. And then you could play Mudryk over here, but we still haven't seen it. So it's still not something that feels like Potter is going to do. But would you play him up front again? Especially, like I say, Leicester's one thing away. They try to be aggressive, so you get a bit of space. You won't against Everton, will you?
No, I would personally play Mudryk, Havertz, and then Felix. So I would play Mudryk on the left, Felix on the right, sort of as like an inside forward, and Havertz up front. I know people are going to say, "Oh, Mudryk against Everton, really?" But they got Seamus Coleman at right back, for fuck's sake. Like, Chilwell as well. I want to see Mudryk.
If he's not up front, I think it's not outrageous to pick him. Like, just up front, I wouldn't really think it makes sense.
I want to see this front three. And also, like, Havertz and Felix can swap. So, Havertz has been, like, coming off the right quite a lot and picking out the runs to the left-sided player, like, as we saw for Felix last game. So, if there's a bit of space.
Find Mudryk.
Yeah, find Mudryk, so... I'd quite like that, Havertz and Felix kind of move in position, Felix going up top, Havertz dropping, and then vice versa. I think, just have Mudryk isolate Coleman, and then, the other two kind of being versatile, I guess.
Do you at all think that Mudryk being over there could hamper Chilwell's attacking input at all?
No, I don't think so, because I think Mudryk works quite hard to get back as well, so...
Oh, no. I mean more that he's going to be, because if Mudryk tries to fill this position rather than stay here, because if he's here, he's not going to be against Coleman anyway. He would need to be here to really face Coleman. And then Chilwell has two options, either stay a bit more or play like an inverted wing back. Because unless, obviously, if Mudryk stays, then Chile can do this one, as he does usually. But if Mudryk drifts wide, then Chile can't. So that's what I'm saying. Will it impact Chile's attacking rather than that Mudryk won't track back enough? It's more like, will Chile have the space to do what he usually does if Mudryk plays?
Yeah, I see what you mean, but we should have thought, the scouts should have thought about this when we signed Mudryk. So
they probably didn't think about back three at the time at all, if I'm honest.
But no, I think if it's up to the coach, to be honest. I'm not the tactician, but I can see what you mean. Yeah, for sure. Because it happened against what was the game? It happened against I don't know what game it was, but Mudryk was like just standing on the sideline almost, and I think that was a game with Chilwell, and he couldn't go forward. So I see what you mean. What home game was it? Fulham. I think it was at home.
It could be when he came on. Because he didn't start against Fulham, I don't think.
Was it? Whoever the fullback was could not go forward because Mudryk was literally on the touchline.
Was it Cucurella?
Did Chilwell play? I think Chilwell's debut back was against Dortmund, wasn't it? In Dortmund.
No, he came on against Fulham for about 5 minutes. It was
he came on, but in terms of first start was against Dortmund. So, and Fulham was before Dortmund, so it must have been Cucurella. But hey, it's a different formation now anyway, so I guess that could change things. Who knows? Pice, quickly, before I move on to the other boys in terms of what they would pick, if I asked you what you'd predict the front three to be, how would that potentially change from what you just told me? You think Mount starts is essentially what I'm asking you.
No, I don't think he starts.
Do you think it's going to make any changes to what we see on screen now?
I still have doubts over whether he's going to start Mudryk, to be honest with you.
If I had to make Pulisic instead, instead.
If I had to make a change, it would probably be Pulisic. But So like Felix on the left, Pulisic on the right, because Pulisic has played that position so many times.
Yeah.
So that's the only prediction change I would make. I mean, it could be Gallagher, to be fair, because he's come on so much.
Yeah.
But I think Pulisic back in the squad.
But surely if it's
ready
Gallagher,
to-
it's going to be Mount, no? Because surely Gallagher only came on for this role because Mount wasn't available.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we'll soon find
it's tough
out.
to say. It's tough to say. I
it's
agree.
tough.
Who knows even if Mount is fit enough to start? You know, I mean, I know Mount apparently claims this, but Ray Potter will have a different opinion, and Mount will only come on for like 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever else. But Aaron, I'll take it to you. Which would be your front three, and what front three would you predict?
If we're going off predictions, what you see on screen is probably what I'd predict. But if it was me, I would like
In this order as well.
Yep, most likely. But I would love to see Madueke. I think I'm the only one that really wants to see this guy in the team. But I'd love to see Madueke.
Bro, I completely forgot about him. What the fuck? I forgot about him.
I'd love to see Madueke. Where Felix is positioned right now, I'd like to see Madueke because you've got a player on the left side, right-footed, you can cut inside, and he's got the option to push it back out to the fullback or cut inside and have a shot or something. And with how direct Madueke is as well, I feel like that's going to be something to exploit because at left back they're playing Ben Godfrey. Ben Godfrey's a right-footed centre half playing left back. So if you're going to be looking to,
isn't what you're just explaining the exact reason why Noni shouldn't play? Because if they've got a right-footed centre back playing,
I get what you're saying in terms
Noni
of if he was
only
to cut
cuts inside.
inside.
Isn't that exactly what Godfrey's most comfortable with?
I kind of get that in a sense, but the reason I would say that is when you've got Reece James overlapping you, if you're dragging Godfrey inside, you've then got that option to put the ball out wide to Reece James and give him that bit of extra space by dragging Godfrey inside in order to allow Reece James to be in a more dangerous position. But that's just something I'd like to see, but I know I'm not going to see it, so I'd probably just go with what's on screen. Especially because Mudryk in the last game, he got his assist. That might be a little bit of a, okay, he's finally broken that 007. Now he can actually build a bit of momentum off it, start to put in some more numbers and push on his performances. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Mason Mount. What's that?
Scored as well, if only it wasn't just about
Yeah,
offside.
exactly. Yeah, he scored as well. So he knows he can put the ball in the back of the net. But I think it's, if there was going to be any change, I think it's either Pulisic comes in or Mount, and that'll be for Mudryk. But I'd go with what we see on screen. And maybe later on in the game, you might change it and take off Mudryk and then bring on a Mount or a Gallagher or someone and have that extra body in midfield like he's done. But I'd go with that on screen to start the game.
Fair. I mean, Danny with the super chat, appreciate it. Obviously, we discussed it now, but he asked, is Noni not fit? He is. I don't know about you guys, but I know he's just a recent signing, but I don't really see him as the type of signing that we signed to be playing all too regularly right now. And Richie Robinson, you might be confused by the title. We're talking about Chelsea, Everton tomorrow, not Real Madrid. So that's why Badiashile is in the team. But yeah, for me, it's like presuming that Pulisic is back fit now. I wouldn't even pick Noni over Pulisic. And I wouldn't even put Pulisic in the starting 11 right now. So like, yeah, to me, I have no problem with Noni, and I like him a lot as a guy, and there's clearly some talent there. But every time he's played so far, he does the same thing every time. And I think
it's very unfair
one-dimensional to do anything against a low block. Like if you're way too one-dimensional, in my opinion.
But it's
like,
very
I'm not
unfair.
saying he can't come, but the kid's 20 and it's just come from PSV. So like, I don't think it's quite there yet.
But then making that judgment off of the very small sample size that you have of him so far is very, very unfair to him because he hasn't had that opportunity in order to be able to actually showcase what he can do.
Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of starts, he got more starts than Mudryk, didn't he?
No.
At least in the Premier League.
I feel like whatever it is, when Madueke plays, he always gets doubled up on. Also, something that's really annoying. Like he can't ever
maybe
go.
It would
like
help him in a
1v1.
back three actually, because having Reece would maybe stop getting doubled up on. But I just don't see him as this inside forward. People say that about Mudryk, but for me, I haven't seen enough of Mudryk to make a full decision on that. I've also seen him play ridiculous through balls, which makes me think he can play that more inside role too. While of Madueke, what I have seen doesn't seem to me like he will be suited to that inside role so much. And also, like, would you guys really play Madueke over Pulisic by what you've seen?
Yes.
Really? That
Yep.
surprises me, honestly. But hey, we're all here to have different opinions, so that's fair. Damesh, finish it off for us. Would you pick Mudryk? Would you stick with what we've got on screen, or would you change it to something and then finish that off with potentially, if your predicted 11 would be different to what you would pick? Tell us about that as well.
The Mudryk sort of situation is quite interesting because obviously we've brought him in to obviously play on that right wing, and yes, it's strange that we haven't sort of seen him play much games. I definitely want to see more of him, to be honest. Just I don't know how many games he started.
The guy's
but
20. We signed him on an 8-year deal or 70. We will
yeah,
see plenty of the guy still.
but as in, like, I want to see like a bit more of him though. Like, we haven't really, like, he hasn't really had a proper run into the team. I think he's only started like maybe 2 games in a row, or not even that, and he's had a few cameo appearances. But yeah, I think his time will definitely come in April when we have those sort of like fixtures, like when it starts to pile up like twice a week and stuff. I think we'll definitely see more of him. But yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to see him tomorrow. I wouldn't mind it, but I think I'll probably go with the front 3 that's on the screen right now: Felix, Havertz, and Mudryk. Or maybe I'm still torn between maybe Mudryk or Pulisic. To be honest, I think maybe, as Aaron said about the confidence boost for Mudryk getting that assist and stuff, I think that could really help him. And I keep going on about these like these progressive dribbles into the box, and I think that will help like sort of help draw sort of fouls, penalty set pieces and stuff for us with Mudryk on the ball as well. So and this front 3 can interchange so well as well. So we've sort of seen that regardless of what we think of Havertz as well. Throughout the season, he's turned it up for the past like 2 or 3 games, and yeah, why drop a player that's like in form at the moment? So yeah, probably stick with this front 3. If it's obviously not going well, we can always make changes. That's the beauty of having a big squad filled with lots of talent in there as well. Maybe a shout for, I don't know, Ziyech off the bench or something. I don't know if we're searching for a goal. Maybe that sort of set piece that we need to get a goal as well. He can sort of we know he's got a good cross on him at times as well, so that could help. Bit of an outside shout for Ziyech, but yeah,
I don't know. It's like Ziyech is the last guy I'm picking. Not because I have a problem with him, but I'm like, now obviously I know that Pulisic is most likely leaving as well, but I mean Ziyech was already in Paris, and I feel bad for him that it didn't work out. But nah,
I do think against a team like Everton, though, I think someone like Ziyech, I think could work.
But they could also batter him.
Yeah, that's true as well with the physicality side of things. But at the same time, with that sort of quality he's got in a delivery or maybe a shot outside the box, like it could be something that breaks the head up for us. But yeah, just food for thought, isn't it?
There you go. All right, boys. Just lastly, last question. I know I asked you earlier, will we win? Will we continue the run? But I'm asking you for score prediction now. Aaron, I'll start with you. Score prediction for tomorrow. What do you reckon?
I reckon it's going to be a bit more of a cagey affair because they've got a lot of bodies back. They'll have a lot of the midfield packed out. So I think it's going to be difficult to break them down. So I'm only going to go over 1-0, but I still think we'll win.
All right. Dames, what about you?
I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea for this game. Yeah, 2-0. Like Aaron said, it'll be a bit cagey. I think we've scored a few goals recently as well, so that should instill some confidence. And we're home as well. So yeah, I'll go for the 2-0 win, routine win for us.
Nice, very good. Pice, would you agree with any of the boys or go for something different?
Yeah, 2-0 sounds good to me. I don't think we'll score more than 2 just because of how Everton set up, but I think 2-0 sounds nice. Could be a 1-0, could be a 1-1 draw, but I hope not. I just don't see like they've got that. I don't see them scoring against us, to be honest. I'd be shocked if we conceded. I think our defense has been pretty good, and they've not got much attacking threat, let's be honest.
Especially if we get 2. Like, if they're still in the game, I could always see a late goal going against us because it's just sometimes football goes like that. But if we're too clear, then I agree with you that we will keep a clean sheet. Honestly, like I know 2 of you have already said 2-0 now, but it was going to be my prediction as well. Like I say, I feel like we get 2, not just 1. Like Pi said, I don't feel like we're going to concede. But I don't see us scoring 3 goals. So therefore, the only logical pick to choose for me is 2-0. So that's what I'm going for. And hopefully, as 3 of us predict that doesn't happen very often. And we have 3 of the same predictions. So as, that happens, let's hope we're right. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to be buzzing going into the international break. Ladies and gentlemen, a long stream taking you through the Champions League draw. Chelsea being drawn against Real Madrid. And if we do beat them, being drawn against the winner of flipping Man City and Bayern Munich. So that part hasn't gone our way. the group went our way into an acceptable way. It wasn't super easy, but it certainly could have been more difficult. The round of 16 was pretty good. I think, sure, there could have been a couple of easier ones, but it could have been a much worse as well. So, but yeah, now it went a bit against us. Yes, Ritz, we are at home to Everton tomorrow. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. On the road to 20,000 subscribers. Hit that like button. That'd be massively appreciated. Please check out all the guys on their Twitters. Links to them are all down in the description for down mentions you can see on the screen as well. And of course, as always, please do check out Pice's website, ChelseaFC365.com. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.